Oh, wait,
There we
I
go.
can't.
There we
Oh,
go. Yeah, you
okay.
probably
Can you
hear.
hear me?
Good
Dude.
morning. Yeah, I'm telling you. Well,
Things have been pretty good. I mean, I had that memory with some sadness and my beat up Ted, but been feeling pretty good. I mean, today my finger is weird. It's like swollen or something. I didn't do anything to it, so I'm sure it's a body memory. I had this vague recollection of electricity being put on there and that the joint just vibrating like crazy, but that's all I could get from it. It's just always more.
okay, now and I'm sorry I didn't get to the email. I didn't see the email. I've been
Oh yeah, no,
I'm
I don't.
making big progress, but all of a sudden I open up, I see this photo. Was that an actual photograph of you all?
Looked on Google for something completely unrelated.
Okay, okay.
And I saw it and I went, oh my God, that's what my sisters and I were doing. Remember I said we had our arms connected and we were back like that. And I saw that and I went, that's it. I said, granted, there's more people there. And I don't know if it's photoshopped or what, but yeah, it was just like that. I was very surprised. And I thought, well, let me snag this and put it in my computer. And so I thought I'll send it along with the journals because
Yeah.
my
Okay. I didn't know if that was a family photo.
no,
It
that
was
was just
clear. Yeah,
something
it's
that I
clear that that's
Googled.
exactly what's going on.
Yeah, but I was just like, because I had never seen that before in any movie or anything where they're, leaning back like that, except in my memory. And when I saw that on Google, I went, oh my gosh, that's it. So, yeah.
Okay, well, if you're okay with it, let's go back and review everything.
Yeah, I did a TED. I don't know if you want to look at that.
Oh, yes, please. I always enjoy those. Yes, I do.
Okay, let me show
It's the only vicarious satisfaction I get these days, watching you.
I think you should have a TED. Oh, and on that note,
Well,
before I start this, um, Chris was out in the garage hanging with the neighbors having some beers, and afterwards he came in and told me, he goes, "Yeah, I went out there and cold cocked Ted, and then the neighbors left shortly after that." But he said, yeah, he took a few shots and he goes, well, come on out here. And he took some more shots. And then he started doing stuff with the knife. And then I did the knife. And then he started hitting it with, like where you would hit someone with your knee in the gut. And he was showing me that. And of course, he bruised his knee. And I tried it a few times and bruised my knee a little bit.
yeah.
I don't know if I wanted that, but he was he was like all into it. And I was like, yeah, go for it, do it. Beat the snot out of him. I said, yell at him. The only thing he won't do is yell at him. And he's like, I don't need to. You don't need to.
Oh,
And I go, it's not about in a fight. I said, obviously in a fight you want to have your wits about you. And so that's where his head's at. I said, it's about just releasing frustration. It's just physically getting it out of your body. And he just won't go there.
wow. Okay, so he's stuck in there's that little
A little bit
wall,
of control. Yeah.
right? That
When
he's
you
that
fight, you can't show
right.
emotion
He's a technician. He's rather than you know.
rather than using it as a therapeutic tool. Yeah.
Let's get close though. That's a
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'll show you this.
yeah. There we go. There we go.
Hello, everyone. It's August 26th. I have to say here, the first it's like 15 minutes. The first 5 minutes, I had to kind of condense the size of it so it wouldn't go beyond YouTube's limit. So this is actually a little bit slower than what you're seeing. It was
Okay.
Had a rough night last night. Had some more
I got you. Yeah.
in the blanks. I was already aware of these parts, but got more details. And I cried quite a bit last night. I'm sad now, so. And the basic upshot, I mean, among other things, but was that I'm just a tool for anybody to use. And I know that's not true, but that's what that part feels.
Yeah. Dana, let me ask, what memory are you remembering right now?
This is I don't know if you read the journal where I had to smother the handicapped little boy who was.
No, so okay, I started to, and that's when I said, you know what, I don't want to start reading this at 4 a.m. simply because I was getting a little tired. That's on
Yeah, of
me.
course. Do
So
you
we'll
want to
go
read
through
the
that.
journal
Okay.
first? Do you want to read the journal
Either
first?
way, do you want to?
Yeah, yeah, I'll do
Okay,
that.
let's do that. Then I'll have a sense.
Okay. So I see a guy playing drums. I'm standing there watching him. This is a different one. We'll get there. The next scene is me standing in a bar at a table and I'm looking at this drummer. A man comes and puts his hand on the top of my head and turns my head back to the table to pay attention. Then I sit down at the table. This is when I'm like 3. So I'm in one of those bars that the mobster owns. Jack and Dad are at the table. I feel special because I have a pretty dress on and I get to have an ice cream soda. I believe it's a root beer float. The ice cream is my favorite. They're getting ready to introduce me to the big lobster man, is what came out of my mouth, but I believe I was mixing up lobster and mobster. They really want him to like me. When he shows up, Dad and Jack stand up. Dad has me stand up and twirl around. I guess I'm pretty enough because the mobster man seems to like what he sees. He nodded to Jack. Dad smiled and sat up straighter. The mobster man drank his whole drink at once and set it down. He shook Jack's hand and Dad's hand and then left. And this is when Jack tested me and asked me a million questions. I was getting sleepy a lot. Dad kept giving me candy and poking me to keep me awake. When he poked me, I would sit up straight and try to focus my eyes. And I realized something when I read this over like the second or third time. Those parts when they were poked, they were being sexually abused, and it comes from when I was a baby and Dad would poke my genitals and rape me with his fingers, but I related the same activity at like 3 years old. Yeah, you could poke me in the ribs, but it was still a poke. And so I equated poking just, all as the same thing, even
Yeah.
though it was rape and or a poke, but this was just a poke in the ribs. Um, I would sit up straight and try to focus my eyes. As I remember, I was sleepy trying to stay awake. Jack would ask me another question and another and another and write them all down. And then I would get sleepy again and Dad would poke me. It was the only time I got to wear a pretty dress.
Do you remember any of the kind of questions they would ask you?
I don't. I don't, no.
Oh,
Just I think there was a puzzle I had to put together quickly.
oh gosh.
I think it was a lot of showing me cards and pictures and stuff like that, and I would just have to quickly answer. So it's funny because it didn't pop in my head until you just asked me right now.
Okay, so it wasn't like, have you been talking? Have you been disclosing to anybody?
No, this was about testing my mental acuity or abilities, just how smart or whatever I was. It wasn't about being interrogated.
Okay.
It was about testing my
While you're under sleep
IQ.
deprivation and being tortured.
Exactly. And I guess they figure if you can do it while you're under those circumstances that you must have some sort of intelligence. I don't know. I mean, I wasn't being tortured then. This was like a preliminary. I think it was Dad went to those bars without me to check things out. bumped into Jack and said, well, bring your little girl. We'll have so and so Balistreri approve or disapprove her, and then we'll test her. And then after that, the next visits, I believe, were the sexual ones.
So do you think he was a gate, this Balistreri guy was a gatekeeper for eventually going to the queen kind of thing?
Oh, geez, maybe. I have no idea. I just found it fascinating that the CIA guy's hanging out with the mobster, you know, and according to other people on Emma's show, that, the mob is really involved in this. Even
Yeah,
though
because
I talked to my friend in Milwaukee, he's just convinced the mob won't go anywhere near pedophilia. And I just want to slap him and say you're wrong. But, you can't convince people who think they know something.
yeah. So in
So,
this case, it almost seems like the CIA is deferring to the mob.
in a way, yeah. I mean, unless Jack just used that as a place to find candidates, is what I'm thinking. Is that
Candidates as far as kids or adults?
I don't know. I think kids, children, or maybe both, who knows? But in my case, it was for children. I think I just have this sense that Dad and Jack met there, that Dad went there maybe without me to see if he could peddle me, and bumped into Jack. And oh yeah, and then maybe Jack contacts the mobster guy to get the A-OK. Because by then
Because
I'm sure that Jack would find out that Dad was in the military doing MK Ultra or whatever my dad did.
and even as you're talking, I remember one of the programs, little by little, I'm trying to learn the history of the CIA stuff. And I guess they started out, or as they were starting out, they, well, in order to, I guess, get information, they did connect with the mafia, the dock
Yeah,
workers, the dock
yeah.
workers.
Oh, I just remembered something I watched the other day where they were talking about how at a certain point after Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, that's when the CIA and the mob folded into each other. That was the phrase, they folded into each other so that they could have better control. So that might be around the same time period or at the beginning of that process of the CIA and the mob coming together. And then I'm there 5 years later in this mobsters club talking to a CIA guy. So, but
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
anyway.
Well,
So a separate memory, and I didn't even get her name until after. I just moved it from the bottom to the top. It said, just saw a full-grown obese man in a diaper with a pacifier in his mouth for sexual pleasure, enjoying it. That was in one of the rooms. I don't know if I was in that room, but I saw it. And then again, another just image of a guy. He had a mask over his face. He's being degraded, yelled at, degraded, belittled sexually, and he's enjoying it. So I think that's what happened in these clubs was yet every kind of pervert.
yeah.
And, they just went to whatever room applied to them. So this was the one. So, and I didn't know, I thought this was Corn, but I realized no, this is Jason. And then Jason later split into Corn. So I just saw myself have to kill a little boy. My partner's telling me that I'm 16 years old. And I'm going, really? The time period I thought there was nothing going on. There's stuff going
Oh,
on.
okay.
Yeah. So this
Okay.
is in Iowa after, because remember, what, 4 days ago, I remembered the SRA in Iowa with my girlfriend's father.
Yeah.
And that only went on for 2 years. So I was about 14 and I started work. And so I'm
Oh,
now,
that was when you were 14.
well, when I got started school, I was 11 or 12. Mom divorced Dad when I was 11. I think I started school and just turned 12. This girl approaches me to be my friend. I'm her friend for like 7th and 8th grade, going to her house once in a while for
Oh,
sleepovers. That's where the SRA in the barn happened. So then I started working at 14 and a half because I could.
and then you're going to this dentist at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, actually, now that I think about it, yeah, because they pulled the tooth a year or two before my braces. Or no, I'm thinking that they pulled that tooth in order to do the braces. So no, I don't think the dentist happened during that time period, now that we're talking about it.
Happened before.
So I start working, I drop that friend, which I think was what was supposed to happen, but in my conscious mind, my daytime personality, I always felt guilty because I blew her off, but she never
Okay.
seemed to be bothered. So I start working. Then, yeah, the tooth business happens. So that's MK Ultra. And then about, yeah, around the same time period. Yeah. So now I'm 16. Oh, geez. I don't remember going to a kegger party at 16.
It's high school.
Yeah, I was at that kegger party. I was more like 17. Unless I just was 16 and I don't remember, but my part says that it's 16. So the boy was about 4. I laid down in bed with him, put my hand over his mouth, and I hugged him and smothered him with my hand. My back was to his chest. This was after Jack did his programming in the 21-year-old man's house. Remember the guy that I met at the kegger and I disappeared for a couple days?
Yep.
I really do think I was 17. Anyway, I believe who is the boy's father. That's why they wanted me to kill him that way, so it looked like he died in his sleep. It was Jack's way of seeing his programming was working. I think
Yeah.
because I had been out of touch for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. See, that's what they do.
Um, it was a 20-year-old, 21-year-old man's entering into Jack's program somehow, offering his firstborn son. So it's like CIA and satanic. Their plan was to tell the mother that the boy died in his sleep, no idea what happened. The boy was mentally handicapped or autistic or Down syndrome or something like that. The father didn't want to deal with it anymore. As I was holding him, I was this
The
general.
father was age 21.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was 16. So that's statutory rape. Yeah. But I went to his house willingly to
Yeah,
dis.
but he had a 4-year-old.
Oh, boy. Yeah. There's a thought, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just guessing at the
Oh
child.
yeah, no, that's
Child could
fine.
have been 3 or 4. I just remember, based on the length of his body, his feet were just above my knees, and his head was right here. So
Yeah.
I'd imagine that'd be 3 or 4 years old. And plus, he was malnourished, so he could have been 5 and just not fully grown because he was malnourished.
Yeah, and they were probably trafficking him anyways.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I just thought that they were neglecting him. Oh no, and now that I think about it, at the end of this memory, I realized that they're SRA people. I don't even know if I wrote it on here, but I just instinctively know it.
Do you want to write it down just so you're
Yeah, well, when I get to the end, as I
okay?
was holding him, I was gentle as possible because Joker was the one that strangled people around the throat, adults, and had to put all this force and energy, and it was just this big energetic deal to kill someone. He never had to smother someone before. And so he's like, and this child is barely moving, barely
Oh, they
alive
drugged him and everything.
or something. Yeah. And I was just like, well, I was thinking, look at him. He's helpless.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I was as gentle as possible. I asked God to forgive me and please receive this beautiful child. It was just so different than the other
So
things.
and this is the whole dilemma that they put the survivors in. Damn, or yeah.
Yeah, and see, I don't know that. I kept thinking, if this is SRA, why would they want to kill this child this way? They could have put him in a ritual. It's like, just whatever. But for some reason, I think Jack entered into the picture and was using it as a way to train me, get me back on cue,
That's exactly right.
and use this opportunity as a whole package.
Spot on. Absolutely correct. That's what they were.
That, yeah.
Yep.
I asked God to forgive me and please receive this beautiful child, which Joker had never done before. I didn't even know he believed in God. So I told the child that God would love him because nobody here did. And the mother did know. She was there. It was, it's like my memories go backwards all the time.
Yeah.
They were making up a story he must have died in his sleep. The man handed Jack money, and Jack said he would take care of everything, not to worry, no one would ask any questions. As we left, I saw the mother sitting in the bathroom on the toilet seat, crying and ashamed. Her husband was reassuring her that what they were doing was best for everyone. It's like she was in there because she couldn't confront. That was the furthest place she could go in the house. You know what I mean? Um, she was a junkie. I remember her arms were marked up, his were too. My cover story was that I slept with the father, and that's why I was there, not to kill his son. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, at least I wasn't that big of a slut, but I learned I was not that I was a
You're
slut.
so funny.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, I
that's what
know.
my
Yeah.
front personality thought,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
by then I was sleeping around and promiscuous and working and had my own car, etc. He took me to his house and we did kiss on the couch. I remember that vivid. That's what the front personality always has remembered. He left to go get some dope, and while I was waiting, Jack came in. He told me he was going to go score some weed and would I mind watching his son. I said, sure. Jack came in and tweaked my programming. By the time the man came back, his wife was with him. Imagine my surprise. So, I don't know if she was there the whole time or if my front personality is confusing things. But this is what my front personality is saying. And
Yeah.
so this would be Finley, the promiscuous girl who, went out and partied and had sex with boys. Just this line here, Finley there and Finley here. And then this would be Joker.
So this is invaluable as well because to help people understand.
That your memory comes from many parts at
There you
once.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. He put her in the bathroom and she shut up. I think she was starting to go, what do you know? And then so Jack had me, quote, dispatch the boy. The boy was very neglect. I remember I walked into the room and saw him on the bed, and he was just so close to death anyway. The boy was very malnourished. He was close to death anyway. I just feel so sad for that little boy. I mean, when I looked at him, I saw myself.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
ashamed to say that I feel like it was merciful to kill him.
That's right.
And he was weak and did not struggle. I told him when I
Yeah, that's
when I
important.
covered his mouth, I
Yeah.
said, "You go to God now."
Yeah.
His legs kicked a little and then he died. It wasn't for Joker, it wasn't like that big production of a full-grown body
Yeah.
struggling. It was just this. Anyway, it's the first time that my victim was and I couldn't find the words, just so weak, so helpless, so defenseless. And he's saying, well, they all were, all the children, but he was, again, no words. And then I just thought close to God already. Joker for the first time was gentle and sad. His cocky attitude melted. is no longer callous. He was ashamed. It was the first time Joker felt God. The man left and came back with money and dope. They shot up while I hugged their son goodbye,
Oh,
killed him.
gosh.
They disgusted me. I disgusted me. When
Yeah,
I left, when I
that's a
left,
key point, Diana, right there, right? That's such the therapeutic dilemma that everybody has to work through right there. I disgusted me. That's what they do right there. That's the ultimate goal to
I
keep,
knew that when I wrote it, but
yeah,
Joker
right?
needed to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's such an important point right there. Yep, yep.
So when I left is when I sat in my car crying by the cornfields. I hated it all. I think Corn was born when he walked into the room and saw that boy,
Yeah,
not sitting in the car.
yeah.
Said I hated it all, but I could not get free. God forgive me. I cried and cried until that car stopped to bother me. I cleaned up myself and switched to go home and deal with Mom, Angie, and Mary. They all bitched me out. Well, I didn't know anything. You don't know what you're doing. Why do you think you can? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I was being programmed by a psychopath.
Yeah.
So I'm crying pretty hard right now as I'm blowing my nose. And right now, too, it's like, I get the vibe that it was like some sort of drug like crack or something, because they say when you're not supposed to breathe that stuff in. If you're not a junkie, and police officers go into those meth, maybe it was meth, who knows, go in there with masks on because they don't want to breathe in the toxins. But I could feel it move through my sinus cavity.
Wow.
So I think while I was doing that, they were getting high.
Yeah.
And then as we came out to leave, because remember Jack and I both, Jack went like this. And so then I did too, after I got a whiff and I went, oh. Um, I think I may have inhaled drug smoke in the air back then. I do have an image of a crack pipe or something like that on the coffee table, and the room was smoky. I covered my nose as Jack and I left. He went his way and I went mine. Um,
Oh, see that? Okay, I just saw
yeah,
that.
see, I don't know what drug like that existed back in 1980. If it was crack, coke, meth, what, but it's one of those toxic ones.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just saw the sentence. I hadn't seen this one. So he was tailing the whole way.
It
You know,
was. It was a trap. Yeah. And so now I'm going back in my parts because they're more in communication now. I see it a little more coherently. I just saw it was Jack who drove up on me as I
yeah.
was crying.
So I was wondering,
That
right? It didn't
snapped
make sense
left.
why with this, it never made sense. So now it makes sense. Jack's not going to leave anything to chance. And so
Mhm.
he's going to tail you the whole way home.
Yeah, and why have call some random stranger to do it?
See, that's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, but I do remember we drove in opposite directions, but he probably turned around and followed me.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, so he did the three snooges, that snap clap thing, and I switched. There was a woman with him. They were both at my window. When he did that, had no idea who he was. He said he and his wife just happened by and saw me and thought they would check on
Ah,
me. Was everything okay? I tell him like, no, yeah, I'm fine, just stressed out. I started up the car and left. I said I just needed a moment, but I was on my way home now. But thank you. He did the signal again, and I left. The father got points in his cult. The mother was free of a handicapped child. Jack got money. I was a tool. I thought I was outsmarting Jack by hiding in this man's house. So this would be Finley again.
yeah.
I'm gonna have to go through here and really clarify who's talking. I didn't even realize that until right now. So stupid. So Finley switched to Joker, who split into Corn, who then switched back to Oh, no, it's not Finley, is it? It's Nicola.
Okay.
Nicola was the new kid. That's why I picked the N and the K
Yeah.
because it kept the original name in there. Oh, geez, so I gotta fix this whole thing. Oh,
I'm
wait, no,
glad I'm glad we're
no,
reviewing it.
Finley. No, you're right. Finley was the one named Froglegs, who was the promiscuous high school girl who
Yeah.
worked. Nicola was the front personality who had the SRA in my girlfriend's house. So this must have been, I had two front personalities then. Nicola was the innocent, go to school, do a good job, and Finley was the I'm a promiscuous high school girl.
Okay, so remind me again, Diana, my apologies for asking. The SRA at your friend's house, remind me?
12 to 14 years old, the barn, her father, they were farmers. It was in,
Yes.
they just raped me. There was no real ceremony, but I remember spirits
Those
in the air.
and the swinging from the yard arm kind of thing, is that the
Different one. That was when I was a little girl at my grandparents' house.
just you don't have to go into the detail, just remind me for a moment. So what happened in that one?
When I was a little girl,
No, with Nicola?
oh, I had the new in school, new in junior high school. We had just moved to Iowa. My mom divorced my dad. We go to Iowa. I'm new in school. A girl approaches me to be my friend. We become friends. She's from a multi-generational farming family. I go to her house, I don't know, maybe every couple of months or something. And in the middle of the night, her father would go and take me out to the barn and rape me with three or four of his buddies with black robes on. The hood's down, but they were like playing at being Satanists, like low level. Almost probably like Masons who got to go to the next first satanic level,
Ah, so
but not like my grandparents who were
yeah.
all the way up there doing the thing with the swing arm and putting us in vats of blood with the snakes and the lamprey and all that shit. So
Okay.
yeah,
Was Jack connected to these folks?
I have no idea. I'm thinking that dad probably called grandma and grandpa said, dad's getting divorced. He's talking to his parents probably over the phone, and they're like, oh, well, where's she moving to? Oh, let me get in contact with those witches there and keep her primed, kind of thing.
Okay, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so,
It's surreal.
yeah. And because dad had the contact with the CIA thing when I was a little girl, obviously the CIA is not going to want to lose an asset. So, okay, we'll let the farm people play around with her for a couple of years. And as she approaches adulthood, 16-ish, I'll go in there, get her, MK ultra'd up again so that we get her into the military and then
Yeah.
use her later.
And the dentist, so there was still a CIA connection because the dentist that you're going to.
Yeah, now the dentist, because my braces, remember when I was in the army, I had my retainer. So my braces had to have started around 16. This is the same time Jack's doing this in this drug addict's house,
Yeah.
right? And meeting me at a kegger party. And I just went blank.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So the fact that you just went blank, so go back and listen and make a little note wherever we are on the timestamp, so to speak.
And
That'll be interesting. If you just went blank, then we're close to something.
I can never figure out where the timestamp is on
So
Zoom.
it's whatever. So you're California time, right?
Oh, 10:43, duh.
There we go. There you go. Okay. Now, again, as you're describing it, part of me is thinking like a coach. The more I can figure out the opposing team, the opposing
Yeah,
coach, what they're doing.
sure. Yeah.
So Very much like Major League Baseball. You've got the farm teams. So
Yeah.
The CIA uses the little what they consider low level, but
Yeah, the low level,
right.
whatever.
But look at Himmler. He's into
Keep me primed.
Satanism,
Just keep me primed.
right? So they've got these stupid connection, here. And just like with the drug dealers, so they've got the connections with the lower level. Farm people would be very open to additional cash. And
Sure.
so
Yeah.
the cash is funneling to the SRA people or the drug dealers. So they're doing the dirty work, so to speak, and keeping kids, now teenagers, primed for, and then intermittently doing the MK Ultra stuff until they're going to take it to the next level again.
Right. And they can't really mess around with me on a day-to-day or even a weekly basis because, I'm with mom and
There you go. Okay,
there's no handler in there. So
oh gosh.
Christine, my girlfriend, and her father become my SRA handlers, so to speak. And then when I start working and go out and party, Jack starts poking his nose in there and, sends this guy I'm thinking I'm seducing him, but he's really luring me in
And
to
Jack showed up to the kegger, didn't he?
remember and showed that picture. Oh, there's a girl in this other town, five
And
or
was that Jack?
yeah, yeah. Because I remember thinking, what's this old man doing here at this
See,
camp?
that's it. So obviously the kegger was paid for compliments of the CIA. So you wonder whose house.
Or how many farm kids are SRA MK Ultra anyway?
Oh,
Because I think was it Nathan Reynolds? Somebody was no, it wasn't Nathan. Somebody was talking about how Iowa was like a hotbed for this shit, and my jaw just dropped open. I'm like, are you kidding me? Because they like oh no, it was Gray talking about Gray didn't say Iowa, somebody else did, but Gray talked about how small towns are the ideal environment for because they can control the whole town. So it's an ideal environment to do all these kind of things. And this town I lived in only had 7,000 people. So it doesn't surprise me that this happened, you know. And also I read a book by that Nathan Reynolds recommended. I gobbled it up in 2 days. I was blown away. Mary Lou Lake, have you heard of her and her husband? Anyway, she talked about they're in a small town in the Ozarks, same type of thing. So, okay. So Nicola goes home. And then I went, oh, no, wait. I realized it was Jack gave the man money so the
yeah,
man could go buy dope,
yeah.
get him out of the house. He does his programming. And I don't know what came first or second, but I did sleep with him because I went to his house. We hung out, smoked pot, nothing hard and heavy. The wife was not there. We slept together that night. And then the next day was when he's like, oh, I want to go score some more weed, leaves. Um, oh, I just went blank again. Leaves, and then I'm sitting there waiting, watching his kid. He comes back with his wife and her mother, and Jack pops back in the scene, and now I'm killing the kid.
So the mother,
Her mother, yeah. So,
her,
and her mother, they were all dressed in normal clothes, but I know that woman was a witch. I just know it instinctively.
yeah, because if so she's going to be there to witness the
And I
sex.
think that the mother made the deal with, or the grandmother of the boy, the mom's mom, made a deal with Jack. And that's how the whole thing happened. Because I think the mother was disgusted with her daughter, who's a junkie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like she's like, yeah, I'm not going to save her. Satan can suck the life out of her slowly, but I can't have this kid lingering around kind of thing. And the dad didn't want to deal with, if it was handicapped. Maybe he wasn't even handicapped, or for some reason, I put all three in there. handicapped, autistic, or Down syndrome. But Down syndrome is what I believe he had Down syndrome. And I think the grandmother was embarrassed to have this genetic defect in her line kind of idea. You know, because the elite are real, they're inbred and they've got all sorts of shit going on, but they have a thing against genetically defective people. You know what I mean? So I think he had Down syndrome, but at the time I didn't know that word, even though I was 16.
So this mother who is a socialite, this mother who is maybe part,
Probably.
right? Somehow,
She's a witch, well, like a head witch in town or something. I don't
right,
know how I know that. I just do.
there you go. So I'm thinking also with the organized crime mob, I don't know, it's just, but somehow if she's embarrassed by,
But the mob is in Milwaukee and they're out of the picture now. So now
oh,
I'm,
they're out of the picture right now. Oh.
yeah. The mob was when mom divorced dad, the mob thing ended until after I got out of the army, went into the new age, and that woman, the mobster
Back
wife,
then.
bumped into me. So yeah, the mob's out of the picture. And now we're just in a small farming community. And the
Right.
only available programming options is this low-level SRA stuff or Jack popping his head in with MK Ultra with the dentist.
There you go. Okay, then
So,
there's something about this woman
oops.
being embarrassed by Down syndrome or something.
Yeah, she was just, I think that maybe her fellow, cult members, oh, you're such a high up hoo-ha in this cult here. Why do you have such a defective grandson kind of thing?
Yeah,
You
because it's
know?
interesting how her daughter, and as you just said, right, the daughter is expendable. So it seemed like a
Yeah,
daughter
and the
from a
guy,
family that, right? I mean, when I think of farmers like that, that's not a disparaging
and
comment, but
that's why I think I blocked it out, so late for, after all the other stuff, you'd think this is kind of mild, why it wouldn't have popped up sooner. But I think because I was so attached to the idea that I had innocence and
yeah,
safety
yeah,
there,
yeah,
the big lie.
yeah.
So yeah, so I said, no, it's Jack who paid the father. Then I got programmed. Then I slept with him that night. The next day, the mom came home with her mom, then the death, and I knew that they were both in the cult. The mother and well, when I wrote this, I was thinking the mother and father of the child. But
Yeah,
yeah, and both got points for doing this.
yeah.
And then the grandma was in the car with Jack. But I don't know why I didn't write it down, but I know absolutely that that woman was like high up in the cult and embarrassed that her daughter wasn't just as powerful as her. Or
Yeah,
maybe
I guess that's what.
maybe she was trying to climb the ranks and couldn't get there because you got a drug addict daughter, she's out of control. You've got a defective son or defective grandson, you're not such a big deal. So maybe this was the grandmother's way of saying, well, I'm going to take care of the grandson and my daughter will off herself.
Okay, see, that's where I was going. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Okay, because if she's concerned about appearance, she's got a drug addict daughter.
Yeah,
So
I think maybe she's trying to climb the ranks of whatever SRA cult
yeah,
shit was going on in that town.
okay, okay.
Yeah, and I don't even know how I know all of that. Maybe I overheard a conversation or something.
But
But
it's also interesting if
oh, John, I don't know if I ever told you this. The restaurant that I worked in, I started at 14 and a half. By the
uh
time I was 16, I was a waitress working what they called midnight breakfast. And that would start obviously at midnight and go till 3 in the morning. And then we would close up and we wouldn't get out of there till 4 a.m. because you got to clean up and all that shit.
You
And
were how old?
16.
And
And
your mother permitted this.
I guess so, yeah. I was 16 or 17, but I remember it was after, and he did this, and I'm getting this is the third or fourth time now, and I don't want to believe this either, but the man who owned the restaurant, Dave Hughes, really nice guy, but I'm getting whispers in my head that no, he's part of the whole thing. I've heard that two or three times thinking, no, there's no way. He's such a nice guy. And that's the restaurant I worked in where the incident where that girl
Mm.
got burned with the grease from the deep fat fryer. And so, oh my goodness. And now here's another recall. I got to a point when I was out partying and I wanted more money. I started skimming money. I was the assistant manager at that time. And when I closed up, I figured out how to skim money off the register. And I would take like 40 bucks every time I closed. And I calculated once, I probably had stolen like 2 grand from this guy over the course of a year. And I remember he asked me, approached me once saying, well, my labor cost, some sort of cost, I think it was his labor cost, it's just way too high and I don't understand it and blah, blah, blah. And thinking in the back of my mind, well, it's just so easy to rip you off.
Mhm.
And I'm not proud of that. When I was in Scientology, routing off, and remember they gave me the security check?
Oh yeah.
That was one of the things that came up because it bothered my conscience. And so one of the things I had to do as an amends was I wrote him a letter telling what I did and apologized, and I sent him a check for $500, even though I knew I owed him way more than that. But right now, as you and I are talking, I'm realizing maybe that's why I didn't send him, not that I had the money. I didn't even have the $500, but I found a way to put it together. And he wrote me a letter back saying, oh, thank you so much. Most people don't
Oh.
make amends and whatever. And I'm just, as you and I are talking, I'm realizing I believe he's part of the thing.
So he was pleased as punch to receive a letter like that from you.
Oh, I'm sure. But I wonder if he didn't know it before and was respected my cunning in outsmarting him,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm 16 and I'm ripping you off every day. Like $40 a day, which back in 1982 or 3, would have been like, I don't know what, $50, $70 now, or
Yeah.
$100 now, $100 a day. So, and I keep having this image of him and I sitting down talking about it. And I'm thinking as he's talking to me about this, I'm thinking in my mind, well, all you have to do is unroll the register tapes and you'll see where I ripped off, literally tore that piece of tape off, re-rolled it back up, and you'll see that I removed the evidence. And maybe he did, and he was just testing me to see, okay, you're a good enough criminal,
That's
kind
right.
of thing. I have never been proud of that. I've never told anybody about it except the Scientology thing because it popped up on the meter, but I think as you and I are talking right now, I'm pretty sure he was a part of whatever community was going on there.
Yeah, because
He was
if
well respected. He owned his own business.
yeah.
Whatever. Uh, anyway, so,
Because I'm just thinking the strategy of these perps, Diana, and um,
oh, and maybe he even, maybe when they have their coven meetings or their Masonic Lodge meetings, Jack pops in there from time to time to check on things.
yeah,
So I wonder if, oh my God, do you remember I wanted to be the manager of that place
Yep.
And he said to me, I just can't justify to the business community a 17-and-a-half-year-old running my business.
No.
And that's what propelled me into the army because I didn't want to go to
Oh, there
didn't
it
want to
is.
go to the battery factory, didn't want to
That's
go to the meat packing plant, and I couldn't stay where I was. So
that's it.
duh,
Yep.
duh.
That's
I
it.
just put all that together. So yeah, it was all the whole town in on it. Unbelievable. And my mom's parents, remember I told you my mom's mom was a drunk and hung out at the Elks Lodge and the VFW. So she's in on, I don't know if she's in on anything, but she's in those circles. So they could go there and talk to her. Well, how's Karen and the girls? And
Oh,
what are they doing? What are they up to? Where are they at?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, she works at Mondo's. I go there every Friday after the bar closes, kind of thing. So yeah.
Okay.
And that ties in with why I think my dad was okay with my mom interacting with her mom and stepdad because they're drunks in this little cult town.
Yeah.
But he absolutely refused to let her know or interact with her Christian Syrian family,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
So if you're okay with her hanging out with her mom, why can't she, hang out with her biological father's family? No, 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 no. That was unacceptable. And I know it's because they were Christian and
Yeah.
not part of any bullshit. And I remember Aunt Sylvia, who's 88, telling me, she said, Diana, if we knew any of that, we would have rode in there on horses with swords and taken care of all of them and pulled all of you out of there. And I'm sure Dad knew that. So yeah, and I believe that's why Dad picked Mom because she had that good Christian upbringing. Well, she had a mix. Her first, I think, 12 years was with the Christian family, and then after that, she went back to her mom and had the whole drunken insanity shit. So Mom had her own triggers. So, but I think it was a coup for Dad to take a Christian and try and turn them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I'll go back to this. So,
Well,
and
that's
so this is why this memory popped up that night, because this is the girl who works in the restaurant, experienced that trauma, right? What I call my first responder part. So Denise, her name was Deborah, but her new name is Denise, is telling me that the doctor told her she did the right thing taking the uniform off. And I remember thinking, well, and they're all acknowledging me. Thank you. Oh, what you did might have saved her life, blah, 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 whatever. And knowing that, but I think because the trauma got pushed down, I didn't know it. But I realized, no, it was Debbie ripping it off of herself. And I just helped her get it the rest of the way off, which would be normal, someone under that situation. So I remember seeing her unzip the front and ripping it off, and me helping her take it the rest of the way. That's why this memory popped in there. So, because it ties in with the restaurant business that I didn't want to acknowledge. I said I helped her. Then she dived to the water faucet under in the snow. She's literally laying on the ground with a faucet pouring on her, trying to cool her burning skin. And she was crying, and I'm holding her, and she's talking about I'm gonna be so ugly and blah blah blah.
oh,
And for
gone.
some reason, I knew in a traumatic moment that people remember things. My front personality didn't know that, but one of my parts popped up and said to her, no, you're beautiful. You're just fine. You're going to be okay. Don't worry about it. So one of my parts popped in there to program her with a positive thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that was. And then the water was pouring on her, and then eventually the EMTs came. And then I'm switching back to the SRA in the barn when I'm between 12. So that's like I'm 16, 17. Now I'm going back to 12 to 14. Christine's dad would slap my ass while he raped me. It's like I was his horse or something. And he'd say, "Yeehaw, boys." So yeah, all these parts from this same time period, the Iowa time period,
Yeah, yeah.
all kind of popped up together and are giving me little bits and pieces and bits and pieces. And as you and I are talking, I'm starting to get the congruent chronological flow now. So, I
And
mean,
Diana, it makes sense exactly what you said, right? The only time in your life you thought that,
I thought I had safety
right?
and
So talk
security.
about a shock to your system, meaning, you consciously. And so now, though, as you say, you've certainly remembered worse stuff, though, to find out that when here you thought there was a reprieve, you thought there was a hiatus, that it wasn't, what a shock.
I know, yeah. Well, it didn't shock me that much, actually. It was just more of a disillusionment.
Okay.
And I popped it into my chart here. Remember how it was all nice and smooth
Yeah.
and all peaceful? Well, no. I realized that these different parts had lower impacts. And then I added the SRA overlay and the MK
Okay,
overlay.
that's so perfect. Do you like that? It
I
really,
do. I
wow.
do. It
Because
helps. I think because I
yeah,
did it on here,
yeah, yeah.
this was what, 2 weeks before these memories even came up. So putting it on paper, I think allowed the parts to go, oh, okay, she sees it now. Let's give her the details.
Okay, there you go. But to see the
Yeah.
overlap, the interplay, the exchange, and it's really then the MK Ultra, you know,
And
uh,
I'm really sad because this is the one chart that I did not save as I updated it. I have just updated it, so there's only one. You know, I don't know why I did that, but yeah,
interesting, right?
it's
That
like
might
I need some part of me needed to see, oh, this was my smooth, calm part of life.
that's interesting, right?
You
That
know,
makes
m-
sense.
mom saved us kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
think I'll probably now just save it like I did the maps, but
Yeah.
I'm bummed out that I didn't do that. Oh, but actually you and I have, because I'm going to air our session so people will see through our sessions what it looked like. So
There
that'll,
we go.
but yeah, think it's fascinating, saying it's like kind of the same pattern. SRA, add the MK Ultra,
There we go.
you know, train her up, go back to SRA, oh, mom divorced dad. Okay, they're out of our reach. Well, it's a little less SRA and a little, okay, you're about to graduate high school. Let's get your MK Ultra tweaked up. And now let's bring it in hard and heavy again,
There you go.
and then I meet Chris and it all stops really, except I have my own triggers and stuff
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happen. So yeah, I think it's very methodical how they do it. Obviously, it's methodical how they do it. But yeah, this was the one map, and this is why I made it blue because it was calm.
Okay. Right. That makes sense. Or so you thought.
So I thought, yeah. But I remember when it first started, it was like here. Well, nice, it's nice, kind of smooth, low. No, there's some earthquakes going on in there too.
So Dana, let me ask you, and again, I'm just thinking using that idea of Major League Baseball, you've got the major leagues and the farm teams. So do you think, I mean, this may be redundant or self-evident, because I just am trying to figure out, okay, how do these MK Ultra people find these Satanist people? So do you think that's where the different
I think that the MK Ultra people are Satanists as well. Maybe
yeah,
not
no, no, I
all of
concur.
them.
That's right. That's
So
right.
they're going to rituals and rubbing elbows with
But do you think
people.
that's where a lot of the Masonic stuff?
Yes, yes. I
So the
think,
Masonic
and
stuff
you and
is,
I are now talking. I believe my boss in that restaurant was a Mason. And I
yeah,
don't know how or why I think that. Maybe there was something on the wall. Maybe there was the compass and the square thing
okay.
somewhere in there, and at the time I had no clue what that was. Oh, my part's telling me that you asked him once what that was, and he said, "Oh, it's just a business club I belong to." And I'm, "Oh, okay."
Okay. Okay.
So I didn't know
So,
anything about what a compass and a square was.
so the masonry and all the different, these little facets, the elks, the moose, as you said, right, they're gonna, what?
Oh, so I'd go from the farming thing where there's no influence in my life at all. They send someone into my junior high. This girl approaches me. We become friends. I have SRA at her family's house. I start working at 14 and a half years old. Now, I would have to have my mom's permission and the boss of the business. So I was moved from one handler to the next.
Yeah, yeah.
So he was my handler.
It
That's what
makes
it
sense because
was.
what adult is going to permit, even, we're running a business and we've got different ages of employees.
Well,
But if
that's
we're going to choose,
1980, 1979. I don't know that the child labor laws were in effect.
but still, if we have a conscience, we're not going to
Oh,
be,
sure. Yeah. Well, and I started off as a bus girl. I didn't work late at night.
see,
I just
that's right.
worked on the weekends, maybe 4 or 5 hours, Saturday,
Because
Sunday.
we don't want a young girl there anyway. She's in high school. She's got to get enough sleep, and so we're not going to even think
Well,
about.
and I remember when I became a waitress is when things started happening. I would wait on someone and they would grab your ass or poke at you or something. You do midnight breakfast, you got all these drunks,
See
but
that yeah,
somehow at 16 years old, I knew how to handle them. How does
that,
that happen?
yeah. So
Because of
no
all my parts.
no responsible adult is going to have a 16-year-old working overnight. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well, and I
Mhm.
remember talking to my mom about it. My mom was okay because Angie and Mary also worked there. All three of us worked there. Angie started there, then Mary followed her, and then I followed them. And Angie and Mary went off and did other things eventually, but all three of us worked there. And I remember Dave, he thought that was just great. Oh, I got all three of you.
Yeah.
You're all good workers. You're all this, that. He thought we were just great. We were good workers, good slaves. And so I think that's why mom thought it was okay because Angie had started at 16 or 17, and then Mary followed her, and then I followed her. And what's funny is I don't recall working elbow to elbow with my sisters too much. I think we were scheduled separately so that we wouldn't fight.
Oh, okay. But it really is something then that of masonry, and then also makes sense with, sorry, with the with Mormonism, since it's just codified masonry. Um, how then it really is that perfect um, screening
Yeah.
program
Oh,
for
sure.
pedophiles, and it's just a big pedophile program. I right. You're screening.
Oh, wow. I just remembered something else too. Between 16-ish and going, Angie had a boyfriend somewhere for a short period of time. And then I was at a party and this guy came to me and then he and I were together. I remember he just thought it was a great coup having two sisters, not at the same time, but I think he was probably a handler too,
Yeah.
handling each of us. Because Mary went a different way. She was attracted to the more wealthier people in town and had a boyfriend of a wealthy son. So I think they're all handlers now that I think about it, handling each one of us. I don't know if Angie and Mary had MK Ultra. I don't remember that at all. But I barely remembered mine. But I think mine just got amplified and intensified because I was in the military. They never went there. They went to the meat packing plant. God knows what happened to him there. Seeing all that blood and shit all over the place.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's just fine, right? It's just piecing this stuff together. And it's only until somebody can risk believing that this stuff is true that so to think that there's been this
This
highly
small
organized.
town, all of it orchestrated. And I remember when I was talking to Scott,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he was telling me about how his whole life people approached him to be his friend and this, and they wound up being his handlers, and me thinking, oh, I never had any of that.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm in denial, not denial and amnesia.
I right. I remember, and I just saw another little thumbnail on YouTube. I don't have the time to listen to it right now. About Mel Gibson, how they went after him because he sounded like he was spilling the beans, but he sounded like a crazy person, as he would just was describing the extent of all of this uh,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Hollywood and just yeah, yeah.
But see, with Mel Gibson, I think he's controlled opposition. There's no way he could have gotten to his level of fame, right? And then be able to express his outrage at Hollywood. He had to have been a part of it. I mean, unless he had some sort of conversion moment and was following his conscience after that, I don't know, but I think he's controlled opposition because I watched the movie that he did with about the trafficking of children, and it only goes so far, John. It only goes so far.
Oh, is that right?
It never touches on Satanism. It never touches on ritual abuse. It's all just trafficking. It just for sex. It's a sex trade business. It only goes so far. And I think it's a cover for people to go, oh, well, that's what's really going on without showing the whole picture. I think Mel Gibson's controlled opposition, frankly, but I'm cynical that way.
Oh no, that's important. That's okay.
And God bless him. Maybe he did have a moment and had a change of heart and put it out there. But again, why wouldn't you add in, priests screwing children under the Vatican and all that? He must know. So, and the fact that it was, put in theaters, they don't allow that unless it's approved. Because if you're really blowing the whistle, they don't give you a platform anywhere. So that's just my thoughts on the matter. So I guess I'll show you Ted, then I have two other quick journals that happened before the one I just read, but this is the Ted after those journals.
Okay, I got you. Hmm.
Come on. There we go. How dare you?
I like that.
Poor baby. Poor baby. Nasty devil fucker. Nasty, nasty, nasty!
Good.
Everybody using everybody. No one has God in their heart. Nobody. None of you. Jack and dude. Fucking drug addicts. Awful people.
Good.
Just having this sudden wave of
exhaustion.
I only had about 4.5
I didn't
hours
get to bed till after 2.
sleep.
And I was up by
Which speaks to your dedication to continuing this process, Diana.
You know what's fascinating? I'll pause this. Is after I'm done with this, I was completely well rested for the rest of the day.
Oh, is that right?
I think I was up till 11 o'clock again that night. So had a great night's sleep. Yeah, this TED took away my sleep deprivation.
So the energy comes up because the depression then is finally translated into anger, and you get that out in the depression.
Yeah, and you have this surge of adrenaline, and obviously the adrenaline doesn't stay peaked all, after you're done with TED, it levels out. But yeah, I was blown away. I kept thinking, oh, by 9 o'clock I'll lay down, but no, stayed up. I'm reading a book. I'm completely well rested. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
These are beautiful strikes. I'm telling you, good for you. I love these.
selfish pigs.
I get such satisfaction watching you do this.
Good.
I do.
I must watch each one 2, 3, 4 times in the process of I do it.
Vicarious satisfaction for me.
Yeah.
You're beating the hell out of them for me too. It's beautiful. Good.
Fuck you, Satan. Fuck you. Fuck you, Satan. Fuck you. Die.
And there's something to be said about screaming that close.
There you go.
That face.
There you
It's
go.
like
Smite you to dust right now. All of you.
You tell it's
In hell.
disseminating from your core. It's such a beautiful thing, John. There, right? That's when the deep healing takes place.
I don't know if that's the right thing to say, but boy, it sure
Of course it is. Anything's the right thing to say. Just get it out. That's
they
right.
never get redemption. It's because I had just read
Oh,
that
that's
book.
no, listen, that's exactly, they're beyond hope. And now it's die, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Fuckers never ask for it. They never, ever want God. Ever.
Your control of that bat is stellar, by the way.
Is it?
Oh man, yes, it is. You're like major leagues. You can tell you've done this, right? Because it would normally the bat would be bouncing.
That's Patty Pumpkin. He used to smash shit with that,
Yeah.
with, weapons.
Oh, I'm waking up now.
Wow.
All that adrenaline.
Isn't it interesting? It's about the third or fourth, that it gets into the deeper emotions.
Let me cry.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Always watching
The wave of emotion back and
That's
forth.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
You'll never come near me again.
And the tears were coming up, and you were able to get the rage out that was just under those last tears right there.
Cowards.
There you go.
Fucking cowards. Selfish cowards.
Good.
Yeah, I mean, if I hadn't had Ted or you, I mean, I might have just been a crying, depressed mess for a whole day after a memory like that, just laying around, being sick and not feeling good, and but this just eliminates it. It doesn't eliminate it. It just goes.
It's giving all the crap back.
So that's where I'm standing there going, am I done?
There
And
we
part
go.
said, one more. And this is why I sped up the front part, because I had like, I don't know, 5 minutes of talking here. I was like, I had no idea I talked this long.
3 parts I have last night that
Let's debriefing.
were loyal to the cult, basically. In my mind's eye, they're my mom and my 2 sisters. And I know that they were programmed and all that, but there's parts inside that reflect their personality and how they behaved, because I mimicked them to survive, to get through the situation. Anyway, they didn't want to give up that ideology because they had the power. They didn't want to be the victim. I get that. I didn't want to be the victim. Those parts didn't. And so you embrace that evil to survive.
Yeah.
And I was trying to, reason with them and go through the pros and cons of being in the cult, not the cult, and all that. And they were just kind of like this. No, we like our power position. And it suddenly hit me from the experiences that I had prior. Well, or throughout my life, in certain situations where Jesus came and helped me, the situation where he entered my body in that ritual and scared off all the witches, and it suddenly hit me, oh my goodness. Well, then what about, I was telling these parts, well, what about that? What about that? If they're so all powerful and can control everything and all this stuff, then why were they like scared little pussies, is what came to mind, excuse my language, just scared little pussies and ran away.
There you go.
They don't have all the power. And I said, so if that's what you want, is the power position and the strength to win and the strength to survive. And I went and stood in the mirror last night. It must have been 1 o'clock in the morning, turned the light on, and I said, this is who we are now. We're not back there anymore. Look through my eyes, look at me. It's 2024. I'm 59 years old. Where's your power? I said, if that's your goal, that's your motivation, your goal to survive is to be in the power position, then it's to be aligned with Jesus, because he wins every time. He's got the power. They were pussies and ran away. You mention the name of Jesus in the face of a demon, and they run away. They can do nothing. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm yelling. I was just so passionate about it. And they had never thought about that before. It never crossed their mind. And, I got a lot of other parts that are well aware of that, but these 3 were not really mingling or talking with anyone. They were, but not really taking it in. It wasn't until, and I don't know, once I pointed that out, I was like, oh my goodness. And I don't have a conscious awareness of them, well, they shifted. They're not 100% sold. I think they're digesting, but I'm telling them, you need to go talk to this other part I have called spirit. You need to talk to Sarah. She was the one in that ritual. You need to talk to Jon, my counselor. You need to, talk to all the people that have had interactions with Jesus and a demon directly, and find out what they saw, their experience, because they know. And so I feel like they're doing that now. you know, or maybe through the night as I slept. 'Cause I wasn't thinking about talking about this on video, but it just popped into my head and I feel inspired to share that. But your cult loyal parts, or my cult loyal parts, I'll say to them right now, if your ideology is to be in the power position in order to survive, that was a great strategy then because it brought us here and now, and we kept our sanity, you know, for the most part. So, but now the strategy to survive is that we're going to have to face down demons. The time is coming. That's like the song at the front of my videos. Out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. And if I say to myself, if I don't have that certainty, then Satan will have his way. But I do now have that certainty because I'm remembering the interactions I've had with demons and God coming and helping me. I have another part, Rocky, who was hiding from them in the bushes, and they were, 10, 20 feet away, and God didn't let them see me. God didn't let them discover me. I listened to God and I did what he said. Be quiet, don't talk, don't move, pee your pants, whatever you got to do, stay right here. And I did, and he protected me. He protected me in that other ritual, so I didn't have to breathe in a demon with that ritual. And God wins every time. Jesus wins every time. And I've had a few circumstances here in the house where I felt like I had demons in my face or in my dream, and all I had to do was say the word Jesus. I didn't say anything else. I just said Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And they scatter. They're cowards. They cannot face down Jesus. They can't. They can't win, and they know it. They run and hide. So that's all you need. Say Jesus to those bastards, you bastards.
Good for you, Diane. Yes, good. Right, because it's connecting the left and right brain, and it's more intensity. That's beautiful.
Us that you were all powerful, and you're not. You are not.
Good.
Jesus wins.
That was beautiful.
I claim Jesus as my warrior. I am his warrior, with his name, and his purpose. Forgive me, I had no idea all this was going to come out of me.
You have no need to apologize. That's so powerful.
Anyway, I'll let y'all go. Running at almost 15 minutes now. So God bless you. I love you. Take care. Claim Jesus as your warrior, and you will become his warrior. Love you all.
And then I did my journal talk, which wound up me not reading my journal at all, but going on a whole hour and 15-minute, I don't want to call it a rant, but just to talk about these realizations I was having. So, yeah, and that won't even air till October. So, or these won't air till October. So I'm like, dang, I wish I was further ahead, but it's God's timing.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll do the journal, and then maybe if we have time, you could see the first 15 or 20 minutes of that. So, this was after our session. Finn was telling me that he left a mark on his victims, because I learned from Nathan Reynolds that when that happens, it's a signal to the police to not really investigate or find escape.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and it would be an X with a line under it. Because I remember on one, I did use the knife and did that on like the back of the shoulder. And another one, I took the blood and put an X with a line under it with my finger. So my fingerprint should have been there. Yet here I am. Yeah. This way, for whatever law enforcement discovered the person, they knew that it was a cult hit and to leave it alone. Finn would either cut with the knife or draw in blood on their skin somewhere. And then one of the 4 jobs did not happen because the person didn't show up. We threw all the stuff for it away, threw away all the stuff for it. So that was just that quick thing after a session. Nothing else came that night. And then, oops, 24. This is the next night. Again, I add the names after the fact. I just saw a military commander of high rank walking down the hallway. Now, this is that underground hallway, so that really long one with doors. He had a man next to him and an entourage behind him. People were moving out of the way for him, which is typical in the military. When you're in the hall and a higher ranking officer comes by, you're supposed to go to the wall and stand at attention as they walk by. And so that's what everybody did. I just saw myself kneeling on the floor with a soldier on either side of me, holding my arms up like this, but I'm on my knees. I'm being yelled at by some commander because I had mentioned the circus and the castle. Oh, look at that. I put circus in the castle, but that's generally a dictation error. But that's what I did. I mentioned the 2 different things. As this commander was walking down the hall, everyone not important was against the wall standing at attention. When he got to me, he nodded to someone and two soldiers came, knocked me to my knees, held me up by my arms. He smacked me across the face, looked at everyone else and said, "This is what happens when you open your mouth. Loose lips sink ships, people." He turned and walked on. It seemed as though he was on his way to something much, much, much more important and just stopped to do this little display. They took me into the torture room. That's where I was electrocuted, and in another room, waterboarded. With the electrocution came more MK Ultra programming. I had headphones on and watched a video again. Same type of video with cartoons and images of horror. It was after that they took off the headphones and started questioning me. When I didn't get it right, they would tweak that particular thing with torture and then ask again. And so Dylan's saying, "Oh, same thing in the waterboard room. First, they put the headphones on me only. There was no video. And then I would say it was for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'd be waterboarded and questioned." So August is coming back. Yeah, it was in the electrocution room that I heard the main doctor in there say, "We're going to use her for some jobs coming up. So to use certain program in the audio and video files that they had." I believe this is when Finnegan got to do his work later on in Canoga Park. Now, this was after I was out of the military, probably a good 10 years after. He did have a half sheet of paper folded. They pulled out of a breast pocket and looked at it and read it before he told those technicians what to do. This must have been my file or portion of my file that he was reading, because there's just a little half sheet. I suppose not my file, but instructions after reading my file. After he checked the settings and all the equipment, he said to proceed to the technicians and left the room. After it was all done and I was a broken mess, he came in to check me. My chin was on my chest. He lifted my head up and looked at me and said, "That will do." They released me from the chair and I was taken back to my room. The next guard duty was the waterboarding, pretty much the same procedure, just a different torture. So that was that. And then, oh, I read you the Joker one. And then this is, I've been jotting this down for a few weeks now because the Olympics thing happened. I remember thinking Jolly, Thomas Jolly. And that, because I know that name keeps running around. And then you've mentioned, I think, Jolly West, who's an MK Ultra psychiatrist. I had to look both their full names up. and he's listed as a psychiatrist for MK Ultra. And then I remember, okay, well, the girl at 3 Lakes when I was 7, when we didn't go to my grandparents' house anymore, my dad took us up north to that whack job albino. His daughter's name was Jolly. And then the girl that was sent to our house in the basement, she was called Jolly as well. And I call her Jolly number 2. And they were both instructing us on how to be sexual slaves, so to speak, how to be good at sex. And I thought, well, this name Jolly keeps popping up all over the place for me. So I just thought I would let you know in case you hear it down the line. Someone else calls, so yeah, this guy's daughter's name was Jolly. Might connect for somebody.
Yeah.
Why is that on there twice? And so there's that.
And so if they're abusing a kid and they play
And jolly means happy.
right, they play a Christmas carol, have a holly jolly Christmas, best time of the year.
Oh my God, you always bring these things from out of nowhere and it blows my mind. But yeah, you're right. That's a trigger. And I've never really cared for that song. I always thought it was kind of fluffy bullshit.
Yeah, oh by golly, we'll have
Jolly Christmas.
Right.
And that's what's played in the Christmas cartoons that ran every Christmas.
Rudolph.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yes. So that's oh my gosh. I don't know why this surprises me, but the connections are just non-stop. Non-stop. Mind-blowing. I mean, and I remember even when Joe was here and I'd pop on these holiday Christmas cartoons for him and thinking, why are you doing that, Diana? But so here's the I guess we'll just get as far as we get and I'll pause if you have any questions or whatever. But this is what I did yesterday, Ted, in this video, and made the whole video ready to post. Hello everyone. It's August 26th. Had a really interesting night last night. I was gonna say action-packed, but it was, but no, I listened to Nathan Reynolds' podcast quite a bit, and or his YouTube channel, I should say, whatever you want to call it, and he recommended this book by Mary Lou Lake. It's called What Witches Don't Want Christians to Know. And I was so engrossed with it. I read the first half in one night and the second half in the next, and got a lot out of it. As you know, I'm gonna put my TED Talks on Monday and journal on Wednesday because I seem to have revelations during the TED Talk, and thought, well, before I start my journals, I'll talk about that a bit. But as I was going through here, I was reading how she was talking about the holidays being, pagan holidays, and we've got all these trinkets in our house to decorate with. And I realized then, oh my goodness, I need to get rid of it. And, I had dream catchers in my house. I really enjoy them. I have American Indian stuff in my house. And as I was cleaning house last week, my duster, my little Swiffer duster, I have this little container filled with feathers that I've collected over the years. But it started off with one that was a gift to me when I was
I'm glad you told this one.
A woman
who owned a crystal store, and she gave it to me. It was from an American Indian, said it was an eagle feather and that they're registered, and because you're not supposed to kill eagles and all this, but Indians can have it and they have to register. Anyways, he gave it to her, she gave it to me, and I've had it for, oh my goodness, 25 or 30 years. And shortly after that, they also gave me a bear claw. And so I wouldn't lose them, I tucked the eagle feather into the hole in the bear claw. There was, I think someone drilled a hole in there for a necklace or something, but I always kept them thinking that they were treasures. And I've since learned, geez Louise, I got a spot on my dress.
Hold on just a second. Ready for this?
Discovered that
Now, maybe you're going to reference it. Look at what's on your dress.
Oh my God. I didn't even put that together.
Isn't that incredible?
And
I
that's
didn't
one of
notice
my
it.
new ones.
I
I got
didn't know.
like 8 new dresses. Yeah.
Is
Oh,
that
wow.
not funny or what?
Maybe that's what my part was looking at. Oh man, yeah. And you know what I realized as I was editing this? Look at this.
Look at what? I'm
It's
sorry.
it's a sticker that I put on Chris's desk from
Yeah.
his union. It's a skull and crossbones, and I've never liked it, but I put it on there because I thought he would enjoy it. Well, when I edited this, I saw it and I went, "Oh my God!" I went and peeled it off there, so it's no longer there.
I got you.
I was like, unbelievable. But it never hit me that that's a feather there.
no,
Ew.
the woman, through my memories of the past few months,
I wouldn't have figured it out until you started. You got something,
with my
and all of a
hands
sudden it's like,
I mean, I don't think
this is feathers.
I went to her and she did her little thing with her hand signals and realized I had programming and then used me. Anyway, it dawned on me, oh my God, that was a gift from her. And she was a witch. And I can't have this in my house. And so I laid it to this, my Swiffer duster, how it happened, my Swiffer
I'm
duster.
sorry, one more time. Sorry, Diana, I just noticed something else. The pattern on your dress on your left shoulder, what is that?
Oh, I don't know.
It almost looks like a flower.
Hold
The
on.
Oh, yeah.
a lily.
Oh, yeah. It does. Holy cow. Well, and yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
just-
my parts
okay.
pick these dresses. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I know that. Yeah.
Hey there, and that's
Okay.
when I had that realization. I thought, okay, I'll just lay it there. When I'm done vacuuming and doing my stuff, I'll go throw it away. Well, when I got done cleaning house, about, I don't know, 45 minutes later, I went back to get it and it was gone. I'm like, where the heck is this thing? I'm on my hands and knees on the floor, looking all over the place. And I was distraught. And I thought, well, I guess I'll find it when I need to. The next morning, I went out to do a TED Talk. And I finished the TED Talk. And as I was putting the bat back in its little place, there was the feather. I don't even remember what the TED Talk was about right now, but there was a feather just laying on the floor right there. I should have seen it, but I didn't until I finished the TED Talk. It's like it disappeared and then reappeared. It's like Satan had it disappear, but then God had it reappear. It was mind-blowing. Anyway, I was like, yay, I found the thing. Took it outside over the fire pit, burned the feather. The claw wasn't going to burn up, but then I brought it and I threw it in the trash. The next day was pick up and it was gone. I felt good. But then last night I realized, oh my gosh, I have all these dream catchers in my house, and most of them I just bought, and they weren't for, witchcraft purposes or anything like that. But I did a quick little look up on Google. Should Christians have dream catchers? I didn't type that in, but that was and I read 3 or 4 different articles about it, and basically no. I read the real history of a dream catcher, and that it's created to, they say that it's to catch bad dreams and keep bad juju off of you, but it's still witchcraft. Mm-hmm. And Satan sees those and goes into them. So they do the very opposite of what you're told that they're supposed to do.
And as I'm laying there last night, like 1 o'clock in the morning, realizing that, I got up and took all of them off the wall. I had, and you know what's ironic, John? The one that was a gift to Chris before we ever met, and that I took and made even prettier because it was starting to degrade. It hung directly above the chair where I sit to read the Bible.
Oh,
I was like, did I really do that?
huh.
I don't
Interesting.
know, 15 or 20. I had this one wall with a big collage. And ironically, it was behind my bathroom mirror. So I'm like doubling the quantity every time I stand in the
Okay.
mirror.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was kind of blown away, to say the least. And so I just got up and I took them all down. I put them in a little stack, slid them underneath the sink because I didn't want my husband to be, what are you doing? What's this all about? And have to go into a big explanation. And because two of them were gifts to him from a woman in his past. And she was, practiced a little bit of juju. And I thought, well, I've got to ask him if I can get rid of them. They're his, they were a gift to him, but they're in my house. They're in our house. I don't want this demonic thing here. This pagan idol thing, whatever you want to call it. And so I was debating that all last night. And at the same time, in this book, she talks about the holidays, the pagan holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that. And I decided right then and there, well, in the morning, I've got to get rid of that stuff. And I looked up online a few things and like, oh, well, you have to burn it. And I thought, well, we have a fire pit. And because I was up late last night, I slept till about 8 o'clock. My husband and I both did. And I was determined I was going to burn whatever I could burn. Obviously the metal things and the ceramic things would be impossible. And I thought, well, I'll smash them and then put them in the dumpster. But I kept thinking about, it was getting hot. And I'm like, I'm going to sit by a fire. And so I was out watering the front, and it suddenly dawned on me, oh my God, well, that rule God made for that. And she talks about it in here, or I think maybe I read it online, you're supposed to burn it. And then it dawned on me in the Old Testament when God made that rule. And I must say, I finished the first 4 books of the Bible. So I'm happy about that. But he said to burn them. And this morning it twigged at me. I thought, well, duh. They were out in the wilderness. They didn't have dumpsters. They didn't have trash pickup. They didn't have whatever. So I can put them in the dumpster. And then God said to me, he said, say a prayer over them to bind any demons, et cetera, and that no one find them and that they degrade quickly. And so I was like, yay, I can do it. I'm sitting for a hot fire and
Good.
Go through all that. I can. So I gathered up all the dream catchers, put them in a bag, closed it because I thought if my husband takes the trash out, I don't want him to see them. And I have to say that I decided to throw them away and not ask him about them because he should be the one telling me to get rid of them. And I'm sorry to say my husband's not the spiritual leader in our house. I wish that he were, but right now I am, and I have to take the steps. So they're all in the trash right now. Pickup is in 2 days. And I said a prayer over them. I said, dear God, Jesus, please bind any demon or spirit from seeing these or finding them. Don't let anyone find them. Get them to the landfill as quickly as possible and degrade as quickly as possible. And that these never, ever, ever harm anyone ever in the future, now or in the future, and to just degrade as quickly as possible. So that was the prayer I did over it. I don't know how appropriate it was, but it felt right at the time.
I think it's very appropriate.
And then I went out to the shed and got my Easter, Valentine's Day, 4th of July, what I called the small holidays,
3 totes full of this stuff, birthday stuff. All of it went in the trash can. And I said a prayer over that trash can, same trash can, to, and all the things that were made of ceramic or whatever that I could smash, I did. I smashed them against each other in the can, smashed it. But all the, and I said a prayer over the same prayer for any demonic, to bind any demon or demonic energy or entity,
Halloween got
bad
smashed.
of any sort, anything that's not of Jesus or God, to bind them, and for this to get to the landfill as quickly as possible and as deeply as possible, and to decompose as quickly as possible, and for no one to see them or find them or ever touch them, and for them to become dust. So that was the prayer. And I'm not the best person giving prayers. I mean, I've seen so many people and they're really good at it, but I'm not, and I said
I think
all
your
of that
prayers
in
are great.
Jesus' name and all that. And I felt really good about it.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Chris never even noticed that entire wall behind the mirror. Didn't even notice they were gone.
Yeah.
Didn't notice his were gone. And I knew this would happen because I changed things and he never notices it. But last night, he comes up to me and he goes, yeah, what's that guy's name again? Alan Watt? I go, yeah. I said, not to be confused with Alan Watts, who's a, kind of a new age philosopher dude. He goes, yeah, I was talking to so-and-so at work and I told him to look up his site. And my jaw just dropped. I went, really? And he's just like, I'm recognizing that he's like more relaxed and free. And he's like, oh, and he's just going on and on and on about how he's, recommending this website and for this guy to look it up and check it out. And I'm just gobsmacked going, for 17 years, you did nothing to hassle me about this and tell me how much bullshit it was, but now you're recommending it. What's going on here?
Wow.
He's just playing it off like he's just this cool character. And I'm looking at him going, am I talking to a part here that is finally been released?
Yeah, how'd you know, right?
Because I got rid of this shit in our house. But he was lighthearted. He was still playing his evasive little game, and I'm like, Chris, why do you have to be evasive? Why can't you just answer a question? He's like, oh, and he was just, and I was thinking, okay, God, well, I can't wait to get rid of Thanksgiving and Christmas because my dumpster was only so full. And I know we're at noon. I don't know how much time you have, but
we'll keep going for a while.
but yeah, he was like a totally different person. And he didn't drink for a couple of days either. And has been just lighter somehow. And I threw away a ring. The guy who proposed to me in the army that I found cheating. Brooke, remember I said I kept the ring and I still had it? Well, 2 days before this feather business, I pulled it out and I had it on the same chain as I did with my baby ring that my mom gave me. And as I looked at this baby ring, I realized Dad allowed her to buy that and he would play with that on my finger as a baby.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, keep the baby ring and toss this engagement. And 3 little diamonds and the money part of me saying, no, keep it, get money off it. And I'm like, no, it's got to go. But I decided, you know what? Both of them are going to go because Dad touched that ring and played with it. And I don't need it in my house. So I just threw them in the trash can. And the next day they were outside and tomorrow is pickup. So as I'm watching this thinking, oh, I got to take the trash out to the road. So anyway, yeah, but it was funny because I've been doing this prayer that this woman wrote for like 4 or 5 days now. And I read it out loud and it's literally like 5 to 10 minutes long, but every morning and night. And like, I'm noticing Chris is different. So I'm getting this demonic shit out of my house and I'm praying out loud. And even last night he came in. This is funny. When I go to bed, I usually just take this dress off and I sleep in my underwear because, I get hot. Well, I did that and I realized, oh shit, I didn't do my prayer. So I thought, I'll just get up and sit there naked and read. Just walked in on me. And he's like, what is this sight? I said, I know. It was the last, I forgot to do it. And I got up and I was hot. And and so as he's, Googling at me, I got up and threw my dress back on and he came to get a pair of socks or something. I continued on. I'm going to do these prayers every day in the morning and at night because it binds all the evil out of your house and a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyway, he's different. He's different.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still have to get rid of my Thanksgiving stuff. So, and Christmas stuff, that's out there. And I have to say, I'm a little nervous about what my husband, and I haven't put any of those decorations up, not even last year. I did a little bit of Christmas stuff, but not the big to-do that I used to. But I'm worried about, all the Easter thing. I kind of stopped that for 2 or 3 or 4 years now because I've learned that they're pagan holidays. But it feels good to have that out of the house. It's not all of it. Still have Thanksgiving and Christmas to go because my trash can's only so big. Anyway, next Monday and Tuesday, as our trash pickups Wednesday, I'm gonna get rid of it each week till it's gone. And if there's something I run across that God feels that I should burn, then I will. But I feel really good about that. And I came back in the house and sat down. And I thought, well, I need to do a TED Talk for what I went through last night. I just saw the TED Talk because I'm going to put those up before the journal now. And I don't know, just felt good. Realizing that, as I said in the TED Talk, I had parts that were still loyal to the cult because they wanted the power position. They didn't want to be the victim. They didn't want to be the one to die. And I had to show them as I stood in the mirror with the dream catchers now gone, blank wall, just me in the mirror, that this is who we are now. We're 58 or 59. Sorry, just on my birthday. And it's 2024. And they're not in that place anymore. To look through my eyes and feel with my body and see where we live and where we are now. And that, yeah, the demons are still out there, but they're not going to be in this house because I'm going to get rid of them, all of them. Anything that I run across that I think has a demonic influence or was a gift from someone, it's gone, period. And back to what I was saying before, sorry, I was jumping around, but I'm worried that my husband's going to be freaked out that we're not going to have Christmas decorations and Thanksgiving decorations, because that's really all I put up. Like I said, last year I didn't even do Thanksgiving, but at least I did a little bit of Christmas. But I'm like, no, I don't want to anymore. And I'm thinking there's a couple of things in there I could maybe keep because it's just a ceramic pine tree. And
I realize now, phallic
so those
symbol.
really aren't pagan. So maybe I can have this super tiny little display, but I'm not going to do it on Christmas. But I think that for him, I'll try to explain what's going on and maybe create our own holidays. Like in here, they've created, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 of their own. Let's see. The different ones. Oh, shoot, I folded the page, but I've got to find it now. Oh, shoot. Top fold or bottom fold? Oh, here it is. So we celebrate Passover with communion, and we give thanks for everything that Jesus did for us on the cross. We celebrate Pentecost, and we ask God for a fresh outpouring of his Spirit. We fast during the Day of Atonement and pray for our nation of Israel. We celebrate Jesus' birth during the Feast of Tabernacles. We celebrate the Feast of Dedication to give thanks for Jesus' conception. The light of the world came to earth. We celebrate the Feast of Purim and give each other presents as they did in the book of Esther. Now, and it says, we pick many random days through the year and celebrate just to show our love of our family. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if anyone knows when these dates are, please send me an email and tell me,
I
because
looked them up this
I'm
morning.
such a
Now
new
I know
Christian,
when.
I have no clue. My counselor is a Christian. Well, I'm just going to say it, and I decided this a couple of weeks ago. I've been debating it for 2 or 3 months now, but my counselor is Jon Uhler.
Well, you put it out there.
I'm so grateful for him, because he is a wealth of knowledge. He knows the Bible. He went to theological, or whatever you call those schools for theology, and before he became a counselor. So maybe he'll know. But going forward, I'm going to, so we're not quite there yet. I still have 1.5 handwritten journals to do. But when I get to the point where John and I start working together, I am going to air our sessions, not 100% of them, because I want to keep the parts about me and my husband private. But the things I've learned and discovered with him and through him have been invaluable. And in particular, well, I won't say in particular, but since I started reading the Bible, my cult parts that are loyal to the cult, don't understand the Bible. They get confused. They don't understand things. And I have no reference. And I to go through 5,000 different resources would be ridiculous when my counselor has this training, and I know he has a good heart, and he's helped me with all these other things. So he's kind of do a little 15 or 20 out of a 2-hour session. We spend maybe 10 or 20 minutes on a little Bible study. It's not Bible study per se, but he answers the questions that I have. So, and I want to share that with everyone, because I know other people out there have these same parts. So, and like I discovered during my TED Talk, they're loyal to the cult because it gave them the power position so that they could survive, so that they could live and get to here and now. The problem is they're still stuck back there, and they're still confused and still have, misconceptions about the Bible. And so they need to know that here and now, as they come and join me and become co-conscious with me, and I'm getting goosebumps all over as I say this, that the only way to have the power position now is to accept Jesus into their heart. That the perps lied. They lie about everything, all of it. And for these parts that don't know, to talk to the other parts that do know, that remember, Jesus came and saved us. Jesus did this. The things that none of us remembered up until weeks ago or months ago, had no clue about a year ago. So they were still at the lower levels of my consciousness. And they're now talking to the ones as they come up and become more conscious with them and with me. And everyone starts to intermingle and chit chat. They now realize, wow, Jesus is stronger than the devil, than those perps. Jesus wins. And to have the power position now, which was their purpose then, and they want to hold on to their purpose of having the power position, that now that they know the truth, they can keep the power position.
Yeah.
It's
without
just
strings attached.
that they now understand the true power position. If that makes sense. To embrace Jesus and have Jesus as their sword and armor, because those perpetrators and those demons are chicken shits. As badass and as awful as they are, The only
Wow.
true hold or power they have over you is because you have a part that still believes that they are the power. Once those little guys inside understand, no, they run and hide at the name of Jesus, those parts are like, what? What? These guys that have had all this power and control over me all this time are pussies? What? Yeah, they are. And I've had personal experience with it. And this Mary Lou Lake and her husband had experience. All you have to do is call on Jesus. Don't be afraid. He's there. He'll handle it. You know, on Nathan Reynolds' podcast, he talks about all the attacks that he's had. And they run and hide from Jesus. Yeah, they try, but Jesus blocks them and thwarts them. It's almost ridiculous to believe that those things have power. They don't. They only have power if you believe they do.
Well
And
put.
once you have a solid, and I won't even say my grounding in Jesus is solid yet. I'm such a new Christian, but I get that now. I get it. I had a dream where Satan came to tempt me. And you know, you'll learn about that in a later entry as I'm talking about it with my counselor, but he came to tempt me in a dream and I almost took it. And I woke up going, no way, this is a con job. And then I fell back asleep and had another dream that I had woke up and was doing my morning routine, going around opening up the curtains and making the coffee and tea and all that. And as I was opening this curtain in particular right here, it's like a Roman shade, you push it up. I was pushing it up and I got to about this level and I saw a black robe and I knew what that was. I knew it was Satan himself standing there, because the dream right before he tempted me and I denied him, I said, no way. And I as I opened that shade and stopped, I said, there's no way this is coming in my house. And as I said that, I woke up and knew I was okay. So they're scaredy cats. They know. And it got me thinking about this song, you know, round and round. You know, love will find a way after all. Here's the lyrics. And this is, I'm going to share them. Let me share screen. And it's funny because the singers of this song, their name is Rats. And when I learned that, I thought, well, good, I'm Rat. Because I'm telling the world about those birds. I'm a rat. Anyway, it starts out with out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. You make the night, I always cross the line. Tighten our belts, abuse ourselves, that's what we do. Get in our way, we'll put you on your shelf. That's, in my mind, this is God, Jesus, me, God's army, talking to Satan himself. Get in our way, we'll put you on your shelf. Another day, some other way, we're going to go, but then we'll see you again. I've had enough, we've had enough. Cold in vain, she said. The whore of Babylon, cold and in vain. That's how I perceive this line. She said, I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. I knew right from the start you'd put an arrow through my heart. Satan knows that Jesus beats him. But, you know, whether he's deluding himself and all his demons or what, the whore of Babylon, Satan, Lucifer, they know the power of Jesus. There was an interview I saw on Emma's show. I forget who the woman was, but she said in one of her rituals that all these demons were bowing down to her. She says she didn't realize until later on that they weren't bowing to her. Jesus was behind her and they were bowing to him. So they know. You know, and then here's the chorus, round and round with love, we'll find a way, just give it time, round and round, what comes around goes around, and I'll tell you why. Looking at you, looking at me, the way you move, you know it's easy to see. The neon lights on me tonight. We're going to be out on the streets in that nasty world. Neon lights. I've got a way, and we're going to prove it tonight. Like Romeo to Juliet, time and time, I'm going to make you mine. Whore of Babylon. Jesus is going to make you his. I've had enough. We've had enough. It's all the same, she said. Again, it's the whore of Babylon talking back. It's all the same, she said. I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. I knew right from the start you'd put an arrow through my heart. Round and round, with love we'll find a way. Now this is us talking again. Round and round, with love we'll find a way. Just give it time. Round and round, what comes around goes around, and I'll tell you why. On the streets, that's where we'll meet, because that's where it happens, isn't it? When you go to the store. I mean, Mary Lou, she's talking about, she's going to the store, she's in a parking lot, she's here, she's there, she's in a restaurant, and she's got childhood friends or church members attacking her and not even knowing it because they're in a different part. It's out on the streets, that's where we'll meet, because I'm going to clean my house out, and he ain't getting back in here ever. So I'm sorry, I'm so passionate. Out on the streets, that's where we'll meet. Okay. You make the night. I always cross the line. Tighten our belts, abuse ourselves. Get in our way, we'll put you on your shelf. Round and round, with love we'll find a way. Just give it time. Round and round. What comes around goes around. I'll tell you why. And then the same chorus again. And you know, this is the line in particular. And the funny thing about this song is, it's like Jesus talking to Satan. You know, we are Jesus warriors. This is us talking to Satan. But if you don't know the lyrics to this song and all you know is the chorus, it's like it's like Satan talking to you. But that's not what this song is doing. It's Jesus and the victims who are now the victors. We may be survivors, but we are also victors. We won, we survived, we made it here. Sorry, I'm looking at the thing there. We survived, we made it here. You know? So, cold in vain, she said, the whore of Babylon. I knew right from the beginning that you would end up winning. I knew right from the start you'd put an arrow through my heart. And that's why they tortured us so badly. I am in full agreement with Nathan Reynolds that the reason I feel like I chose to come into this body, that life, go through those experiences. I feel like God asked me before I was born, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, yes. It put us through a crucible of fire to become Jesus's warriors, because not everyone's going to get to where we are. And I'm nowhere near where I need to be, but I understand that much, is that they chose us to abuse and twist our minds and program us to take God's weapon to use against God. But what they didn't realize is they were sharpening a blade that would be used against them.
That's beautiful.
So
Perry Ella
they know
that too.
They know our power, and that's why they tried to suppress it and squash it. But they didn't. We made it through. We're here. We survived. Ask your parts to look through your eyes. Look in the mirror. Show them what you look like now. Show them your house. Literally walk through room from room, the front yard, the backyard, the shed, the garage. Show them where you live. touch things, feel things.
That's
Let
wonderful.
them explore where you are now. And let them know that they won. They made it. They made it through. They're here. And they're here now to be God's warrior. Because who else is going to know what a demon looks like, smells like, feels like, the vibration of the air, the temperature shift, the buzzing or whatever sense that you might get. We don't have just 5 senses, and it's not just ESP or spiritual connection. We have a sense of pressure. We have a sense of humidity. I was told once that we have 50 different senses. I don't know what they all are, but our parts do. So as they become co-conscious with you, you will know. They will show you. They will tell you. And so when you're out on the streets and someone comes up to you and does their little bullshit with their hands or signal or gives you the code words or whatever, just look at them and say, Jesus wins. And they will spin on their heels and run. And if they don't, say it 5,000 times, because they can't stand it. They're pussies. They're cowards. All of these Satanists and Luciferians and witches and witchcraft and all this disgusting paganism, all of it, they're pussies. They put on a good show and they're bullies, but they know that they're going to lose. They know right from the beginning that we, Jesus, would end up winning. They knew right from the start that we'd put an arrow through their heart. So hopefully they will repent and become saved. And if they don't, then God takes care of them. But they can't hurt you. They can't harm you. The only way that can happen is if you have parts still inside of you that believe the power position is to protect the perpetrators. Explain to them where you are and when you are, and that they made it out. They made it through, that strategy was necessary at the time. But now, here and now, no. They need to understand that they were lied to. They need to understand that the true power position, the truth, is Jesus. That Jesus is their sharpest, swiftest, strongest sword. The blood of Jesus. Have the blood of Jesus cover you and your family and your home. Get rid of the things in your house that are pagan or connected to witchcraft. Protect yourself, because you can't have it in your home. You're inviting demons in. You're inviting your own persecution. And it's those little parts inside, just like with me, for months and months and months and months. I knew they were there, but I didn't twig on it. Oh my God. And here's another thing. I was watching an interview of Emma with a woman who was drinking out of a goblet. I swear to God, I thought to myself, oh my God, she's drinking out of a blood goblet. And I had this little judgment about her. And I thought, well, don't judge. And about 6 weeks later, it dawned on me that my winter bathrobe, guess what color it is? This full-length plush robe is black. I've got a large, full-length black robe. I was gobsmacked when I realized that. I bought myself another robe just last week.
Good for you.
So we have things around us that are parts who are still loyal to the cult need and want. And they need to you need to have a conversation with them. You need to show them, my counselor had me do a pros and a cons list. I'll share that with you now of what are the pros of being in the cult? What are the cons? He said, it's just like having a meeting in a corporation, the CEO, and you're having a meeting and you're trying to, get loyalty or not. Yeah, loyalty, I guess. You just want to, not even that, you're just explaining the truth. You want them to understand the truth. And so in my world that I created, I call it Lake City. And here's all, I had a crap load of maps, and up until at my birthday,
That's great.
which was the 14th, the day before, all my parts got new pictures, and a month before, they all got new names. So, and I wasn't even consciously aware of doing that. Just on that day, I was obsessed with getting it done, and I did. And so on that day, they all got new names and parts. That was my birthday to myself and to them. Let me make this bigger. But anyway, here's a bunch of them, and here's where they live. This is what I call Lake City. I just got pictures off Google and kind of collaged them together. This beautiful lake that forms at the base of a waterfall, and there's meadows and trees and fields, which, leads into where everyone lives in log cabins, because I've always wanted to live in a log cabin. Accommodations for 35 because I now have 177 parts. So I chose log cabins that were 1 and 2 bedroom, 4 and 5 bedroom, and 10 to 20 bedroom. So this is accommodations for 35. Next slide is accommodations for 70. These beautiful log cabins. I try and make it bigger. Oh, geez, Louise, what's happening? Oh, no, I messed it up. Shoot, let me undo all that. Okay, and the next area around the lake, here's the big log cabins in case 10 to 20 people want to live together. That's great. If they don't, I got the 4 and 5 cabin ones. And so that was accommodations for 70. So there's
I'm so glad you recorded all this.
70.
People see it.
25 more. These are the smaller cabins. And for outdoor living, because some of my parts want to live in tents. Like my husband's happy to camp out in a tent for the rest of his life. We have outdoor living with a little, kitchen community area. And here is the playground area. I wish I could make this bigger. Let me do this. There we go. Here's swing sets, play sets. I have an ice cream shop right here. A little bathroom. This is where you get pizza and burgers. I'm sorry, guys, I forget what that place was. Over here is an organic garden and orchards. We have lemons, limes, oranges, strawberries, bananas, blueberries. So the children can come and play and swim, and I even put a little dock here for them to jump out into the water and play. Here's my some of my parts want to go live out in the country, like I want to live in a log cabin someday out in the boondocks, but we're going to need to have cattle and pigs and chicken, which I'm realizing that now I don't know about the pigs. But anyway, I got to figure that out, because in the Bible, I think you're not supposed to eat pig. So still figuring that out. So this might go away, but each one has a tent to live in. Here's my cattle ranchers. Here's my library and school, because all of them need so much instruction. And my part Alan Watt and my part that's called Jon Uhler are the ones who educate and train them. I've got a part called Ivy. Her first name was Smarty Pants. She's the one with the high IQ that I didn't even know I had until Scientology tested me. So as a child, they knew I had intelligence, but they trained me that I was an idiot and a moron, and I believed them. But now I know better. Spent 17 years doing Alan Watts work, and now the past several years, SRA work and working with a counselor. And so this is our library and our school. where they all learn from the parts that know. And the girls wanted a jewelry store, got a diner, trading post, clothing store, because I asked them to change their clothes. There was one part I realized, was interacting with her so much, I realized she still had on her little sex costume one day. I was like, oh my God, are you sure you still want to wear that? You know, she's like, oh my God, no. And so she changed her clothes. So that's a part of my interior world, is each part at some point, you know, I had to have a clothing store. They go pick out whatever they want, wherever they want. It's got clothes and shoes and hats and whatever. And I know it looks, you know, like that, but this is the doorway to any type of clothing in the world, except cult clothing, sexual clothing, no tattoos, no marks, things like that. But they can wear jewelry. And here's our trading post, so they can have things to fill their cabins with. We'll go down to there. Here's our arts and crafts place, an art studio. They have homemade clothing in honor of Nathan Reynolds. In the art studio in honor of Carrie Alahe. We have a woodworking shop because I've refinished furniture and built things, and I'd like to do more of that someday. And our communication center, everybody's smiling and happy, and there's nobody at the head of the table. We got donuts and stuff. And let me go to the next one. Here's our kitchens. We got little comfortable ones, or big, huge ones for those big cups, or medium size, so small, medium, and large. Same thing with the living rooms, you know, small, intimate, medium, super large. So this is in my internal world. They can choose wherever they want to live. And I will say, when I first did this, I didn't put bathrooms or bedrooms in, because I thought, well, those are private places and whatever. But they were screaming at me, no, we don't need privacy from, I mean, yes, they need privacy from each other, and no one's going to run around naked, but they want to know that their bedrooms and bathrooms are safe, and they are. So we put bedrooms and bathrooms on here several days after all the rest. Living rooms, bathrooms, we've got, you know, small, simple, and big, beautiful. So whoever wants to bathe in any kind of bathroom, they can. And the bedrooms, again, we get the bunk beds for the little ones, and big old ones for my big dudes, because I got some really big dudes inside of me. And then the big dudes inside of me absolutely do not want to lose their skills. They want to continue with their knife training and their combat training. And we do that on TED. And about once every couple of weeks, my husband gets a bug up his butt and shows me something different with a knife, or how to move your body, or how to pull their head back and slice their throat, because it will be out on the streets. That's where we'll meet. And if things go the way some people predict, I pray that we become a righteous nation, and our prayers can shift the tide, and more people become godly and get rid of the demons. But if we don't, and, you know, as preppers and such like to say, if shit hits the fan, we might need to call on those parts to save ourselves or someone else. Save a child, save your child. I don't have any children, but, and I don't know why I'm going to say this directly to you, Carrie Alahe. I watched some of your interviews, and you were talking about how your parts are retired. I don't want my parts to retire. I want my knife fighters to know how to use their knife now with this body. I want my warriors, I used to call them my killers, because that's what they did. But now I've changed their name. They're my warriors. They want their skills honed. because I'm not going to be harmed. And this is for if something happens and my husband, I won't say what he does for a living, but if shit hits the fan, he's going to be at work behind a concrete wall, and I'll probably go with him with their other wives and children. But if we're in a scenario where the men are off fighting, we ladies have to know how to take care of ourselves. So that's what this page is about. We're going to need to know how to navigate the land, which I like to rock, climb, and hike. That's why I need another picture to put in here, hiking. And survival
I added
skills.
that later.
So that's why this page is here. My dudes inside, my fighters, my warriors, they're dudes. I had this notion, the first one that was created as a part, that girls don't fight, boys fight. And so those parts identify as male. And they want to hone their skills. Well, am I going to become Bruce Lee? I don't think so. But me and those around me, I will protect. So, and anyway, this evolved to the community bulletin. Oh, this is where I was going. The pros of being in the cult. Okay, they get the promise of money and power. They get the brotherhood, the promise to live eternal, the promise of they get to have family, perks for good money. They get fun, fills their time. They get to control. They get to lie. They have no worries about sin. You know, do without will it be the whole of the law. I'm sure there's a few more here, but at the time I couldn't think of them. I still couldn't. But here's the con. Now, this is on our community bulletin board. And in my mind's eye, it's 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. And you'll see how many of these signs there are.
That's good.
The cons of being in the cult. You get punished, mocked, and belittled. Even if you're in the cult, you get dropped if you fail. Cold, heartless, murderers, predators. They're, the satanic ritual abuse, you get the torture, the sadism, the Satanism. It's never enough. They never have enough, and you're always wrong. It's always the lies. If you embrace Lucifer and his minions, who I might add are pussies, they got a big bad bully face, but they're pussies. They're criminals. They gaslight. They use music to enchant. They use money to lure. They mock and belittle Jesus and God. They're enemy of Christians and innocents. But no other religions, right? Is there an anti-Buddha? No, there's an antichrist. Is there an whatever all these religions are? Muslim, Jewish, whatever, any of it? No. Satanists are only anti-Christian, anti-Christ. And that's got to tell you something about the power of this religion. Because if those religions were just as powerful or came under the umbrella of Jesus, they'd be under attack as well. And they're not. They are being pushed and encouraged and made to spread, but not Christianity. So they drink blood, use of any and everything to destroy. There's no introspection, the destruction of God's most innocent. They're cowards. They hide. The destruction of any beauty. They're angry. They yell. They bark. And this was just as they were coming at me. The alcoholism, the drug addicts, they're psychopathic. They destroy society eternally. They destroy individually continually. They destroy Christianity. They use religion for their own gains. They use all institutions for their own gains. They never take responsibility. They have no empathy, no regret, no compassion. They are not human. They're evil. They have no conscience. The blood, the pain, the agony. And here's page 2. The fear, the anxiety, depression, confusion, suicide, absence of love, absence of God's love, the inability to love. They cause an inability of intimacy, constant deception and misdirection. They cause sickness and injury, suffering, misery, selfishness with a big ego. They can turn it on and turn it off. No compassion. I think that's in there twice.
destruction of the family, destruction of the ability to love, psychological, spiritual, physical, and mental states destroyed, envious, greedy, vile, gluttonous, proud, sloth, wrathful, cold, dark, cowards. I think I got that out of Joyce, I believe. Possession, abandonment, isolation, cannibalism, depravity, decadence. They gaslight their innocence, destroy brutally their enemies, program and condition victims to silence. And the list goes on and on and on. But does this list go on?
There we go. Good for you.
No, they get a few things. Yeah, sure, great. You know, pros of being in the cult, I suppose I should, for a part, say they get to survive and live. Let's say that. Parts get to live. Which is necessary to get us here, but you've got to tell those parts, come into the future now. Come here and live with me here and now. Look through my eyes. Taste with my mouth. Touch with my hands. Hear with my ears. And then the next bulletin board was my evidence about Dad, my major perpetrator, the pros of the things that he did. I don't think I'm going to go on with all that, but here's the cons. 2 pages of cons.
Yeah.
And then I had another aha moment where another part needed to know something, and it was basically a part loyal to the cult. And why should, how could they discern, how could they tell the difference? And I said, well, you know, we've got to define that. And here's what I came up with. The lie that all of you were told is that whatever a perp told you is the truth. Whatever they told you that the perps told you all these things, and they programmed it and they tortured it into you, and you were convinced and coerced and suggested that it was the truth. That's the lie. All of it is the lie. Anything that came out of a perpetrator's mouth is a lie. Okay? They use terror, death, torture, coercion, suggestion, any and all resources to convince you. That's what happened. But here, the truth is that you can trust yourself. Your intuition is God's guidance.
Good for you.
And so these are the bulletin boards that line my community center and communication center. And then the last part was because I love flowers, as I gave us a beautiful botanical garden and a fountain and a lovely bridge that wherever they are on that land, that they can cross that lake from any point to any point and get wherever they want immediately. That's what happens in our world. So bridge to anywhere in town, the town fountain and the botanical gardens. And then I moved into my parts. I'll just show you this first when I was 3 weeks old. This was my first part called Blue, which I know you all are aware of. And when I saw this picture, it touched my heart. And when she chose her new picture, and her new name is Bonnie Blue, not Bonnie Blue, but just Bonnie. This is what she now looks like. She's about 12 or 15 years old now, and she loves going to school. She loves hanging out with everybody. She hangs out with the ranchers and the chickens and the botanical gardens, and she's growing up, and your parts can grow up. Give them access to your knowledge. Every part gets to have access to every other part's knowledge and experience, as long as that part wants to share. And the more that they do with each other, the more all of them want to. They want to be like Blue. They want to grow up. So I'll get rid of this and stop share. And
I don't know what kind of time you got her.
At it now.
What?
I'm not sure.
You can go for a few more minutes. Daniel, this is wonderful.
Do journal stuff. That's more inspiring. I know my journal can be really heavy and it's triggering. And I'm sorry about that for anybody, but for me, Do I want to be triggered? Sometimes, yes, I do. As I'm going through this process, and I get to a point where things quiet down and they still down, and I think, oh, okay, good. I'm going to put on one of Emma's shows. I'm okay with being triggered. I want my parts to say, I went through that too. And it freaks me out. And I'm scared and it gives me a headache and I have a pain in my leg and they are showing you that they are there. If you avoid getting triggered, you are ignoring your parts and they're not going to trust you. So trigger yourself as much as you can and as safely as you can. And I'm not talking about the triggers of have somebody give you a code word or phrase or whatever, but watch and listen to as much as you possibly can of other survivors. As much as you possibly can. And journal, 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 journal. And like I said, I started off with my handwritten journals, but it got so hard and heavy and so intense, I dictate it into my phone now because they can get out what they want to get out as quickly as they want to get it out. And yeah, the handwritten journal is very useful and the sketches are very useful, but for me, it's about getting the information to my conscious mind. They want my conscious mind to know it. And yes, handwritten journal and sketches do that as well. But for me, it was a starting point, not an eternal. And yeah, from time to time, I still will draw a sketch because bam, something comes into my head. But right now, 95% of what I'm doing is dictating recalls of memories. So, and I can stop and I can cry or I can go hit Ted for a while and come back and dictate again. I just can't write it fast enough.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
These are all tools. Find what works for you. But as I was saying, I'm sorry if these things trigger you, and I'm not sorry. I think that you need to be triggered. Your parts want to be heard. The scared little wounded children want help, and it's you who gives them the help. So listen to them, hear them. And what I've discovered is that God is guiding me to the exact video that I need at the exact time that I need it, with the exact subject material that I need to rise a group of parts. It'll start with one or two, but those one or two are connected to and splits off of others, and a group of them rise at once. One time I had 15 come out all at once. So
Yeah.
is it easy? No. Is it stressful? Yeah. Do you lose sleep? Yeah. And if you work and have children, go easy on yourself. I mean, yeah, obviously you don't have the time anyway, but if you don't have children and if you're not working, don't sit your ass in front of the TV all day or play video games or go to the mall shopping. Sit your butt down and watch a 3-hour interview. Take your journal with you and jot down notes.
Good for you.
Do the work. There's days that I could spend 6 or 8 hours. And there was some days I spent 10 or 12 hours just working on this stuff, creating graphs and charts and figuring out, oh my God, how does Excel work in this way and that way? And how does this, whiteboard thing operate? And let me try and make a split map and all sorts of things. Put the work in, because the time is coming when your parts need to become conscious with you here and now. If you're not ready when shit hits the fan, and I pray God and Jesus, it doesn't hit the fan, that we have time to get there. But if it does, You're going to need every single one of your parts, whether you've got 5 or 50 or 177. You know, I've got all their skills and abilities. And as I go through my days, I realize how smoothly they're starting to shift in and out between
Oh,
each
that's
other.
beautiful.
I got a couple parts that like to drive. I got another part that likes to do security. He makes the rounds and checks the house and makes sure my husband trained me this, but he loves it. Lights, locks, fires, and floods. That's what you're checking for every night before you go to bed. Are the lights on outside? Are the locks locked? Are we checking fire sources? Is the stove off? Are there any and then floods. Let's make sure there's no water issues. Lights, locks, fires, and floods. So I got a part that takes that over. And he loves to hang out with my dog. And there's a time where the dog had me go outside, took me all the way to the back gate, which she doesn't always do in her nightly little rounds, to discover I left the gate open. One of my parts left the gate unlocked. So Barry was saying, hey, I'm going to interact with your little doggy here and get her cooperation. And when you need to check something, we're checking it. So he's security. He also helps me at the grocery store, because I used to sometimes, when I was hot and heavy with my parts, I'd need to go to 3 stores. I'd go to one and then start heading home, and I'd be almost on the highway to realize, oh my God, I forgot the other stores. I have to turn around and go back. But he reminds me, I have a part that reminds me of our checklist. Conscious with me. Okay, you other parts, we know stuff's going on, but our task right now is shopping. So we're going to shop. And when we're in the store, I used to, how you put your purse in the little child seat. And I used to, if your cart's semi-full, not full, but, instead of shoving the cart over, you'd walk maybe 2-3 feet away, grab something, come back. I don't do that anymore because it leaves your purse exposed. Anybody can just grab it and pick it up and walk off while your back's turned in a split second. Or your phone, because my phone is in a little pouch that stands up. So all anybody has to do is go, bam, tuck it in their pocket, walk off. What does that take? 2 seconds? 1 second? So my security guy, his name's Barry. He says, hi. He makes sure our purse, our phone, and are secure and with us. If I want something, I have to push the cart to it. And I grab it from the left with my purse right in front of me. And then one time I had a park in a place that I never park. I always park in certain areas at these stores. Well, this day I didn't. I lost the car. Well, Barry's in charge of keeping track of the car too. So I'm not wandering around the parking lot for maybe a witch or a devil to come attack me. So like I said, out on the streets is where we'll meet, or in the grocery store or wherever. So be ready. Get your parts up to consciousness with you. And for me, I want to do it as quick as possible. And without, going insane, obviously, or committing suicide, because we all have those programs. But I want to thank you, Gray, because you taught me about the mind files. It was about, was it a month or 6 weeks ago you put that out, and I had a huge aha. My parts remembered. I sketched out what I call my mind files thing, and I was able to categorize with colors and names. And I guess I'll share that with y'all right now, real quick. Let me get rid of this. Am I sharing? No. Share. So thank you, Gray, for that, as I never remembered the headphones over my ears with the tones, the dual tones. Let me back up here. So I put that under, oh, shoot. No, that's not what I want. Mind files. It's got so I have my categories, and then I created my mind file was a lily. a lily right here over a tombstone where everything got buried. My lily is my file cabinet along with the tombstone. And these are my parts connected to that mind file, which jacked into the SRA that occurred before that and branched out like a lily with vines. Each part is a flower connected to a vine that moves out. And here's the center. Here's blue, my first split, which moves off up into here. These are the ones that were tortured. These are the ones that were assassins, as well as these. I've got two different things. And this is where my assassin training happened. Actually, no, I'm sorry, this is wrong. This is my monarch sex slave. And this is my assassins. And these were my places of work where they'd come give me a signal and send me somewhere. Or something would happen. So, and then below that on the other side, my blue split into when God was there with me. Michael, I split off into the what I imagine as the Archangel Michael with righteous indignation fighting for his life. And that's where my anger and rage come from. And so the ones who eat when they eat to stuff their emotions or go into despair because they can't do anything or try to talk about it and get punished or get sick or tired or sleep deprived or whatever. But this part's here split. It was a piece of God that had me survive. God had me survive, not them. And that's where I split there. And I go down to here. Those vines moved into different splits there as well. So I'll get into that some other day. But I just want to say thank you, Gray, for putting that information out. And I want to show you another part. Yeah, let's save that. Of the mind files that I did was I put them into categories. So my mind file is a lily connected to a tombstone where everything gets buried and filed away. And the categories were the emotions, things that happen to the body, things that happen to the mind. And this yellow are my parts of the mind files that are the controllers. We have one that confuses, kills, sex. One that pollinates, keeps the programming going, suicide, insanity, sabotage, does magic, tortures myself, one that handles operations, one that's a soldier, commander, communications, the vines, which are the connections to each part. Torture, there's a prison guard, the files themselves, there's a bird of prey that flies around on Overwatch. It's like a whole military setup here. And then the one who does the cover-ups and lies about things. So that's the mind. And then the people out in the world, soldier slayer, the moneymaker, the family, SRA family. I've got a creative family. I've got the family connected to God. And then there's the spiritual aspect where there's the God side of God and the side of Lucifer. These are all my parts here. And, more and more parts are lining up in this column right now. But this is the original layout. So at some point I'll make a new layout within, how the parts are now changing. But these were the sex slaves and the ones who went through ritual. So, because every ritual didn't always involve sex. Generally, yes, but not always. Most of it was programming. So this was my SRA programming, and this was my MK Ultra programming. So there it is. Anyhow, this is the work that I've done that takes hours. And thinking it out. And, first it'll be a sketch or a drawing or a list of names or whatever. And I was... Gray, you really helped me figure it out. you know, like you said, some people might have an Eastern Star, some people might have a Rubik's Cube. Mine was a lily with a tombstone, because in that mind files, let me stop sharing here.
I screwed this.
Did I share? I did not share. Oh man.
Bless your heart. I'm scared. Okay.
Anyhow, I think I screwed this up again and was talking while I was sharing, but I'll bring those images up while I'm talking about it and get rid of that. But I just wanted to say thank you, Carrie Elahe. Thank you, Nathan Reynolds. Thank you, Gray. Thank you, Lisa Meister. Thank you to all of you. And thank you, Emma, for putting them all together. Yeah, I can find other people out there that are not on your show, but your website is a treasure. So everyone out there, put the time in, put the work in, turn the TV off. You don't need to go hang out at the mall or go to a movie. And if your husband's looking over your shoulder going, what are you doing? Say, you know what? I'm working on myself and my mental health. You know, and I hope that your spouse is behind you and supporting you. But my guy's not there yet. So I have to do what I got to do. And it's my hope and prayer that as I heal and change, that he will as well. I'll just say, a soldier with PTSD, and that's all anybody needs to know. So anyhow, I think this is gone. Oh, I am sharing. Okay, let me stop sharing. It's looking at the wrong window. Anyhow, I'll let y'all go. I guess I'm not going to go into my journal. I'll do that next week. And as I said again,
And what I do now next is I just read that it's like a 5 or 10 minute prayer. So, but it's 1 o'clock. I don't want to hog all your time.
Well, it's been good. I do, unfortunately, have somebody here in a few minutes, but no, Diana, that was wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that was going to come out. I was blown
was
away.
wonderful.
I thought I had talked for like 30 minutes. I looked down to realize it was an hour and a half. I was
No,
like,
that
oh my
was
goodness.
wonderful. So filled with good information, and you've chronicled everything. So
Yeah.
excellent, excellent.
Well, thank you. It's because of you. It
Yeah.
is. Giving me the tools.
Well, I'm trusting that before whenever that one that you just did is going to
It'll
come
be
out.
like October, which I
Okay,
think
well
is
then,
funny. It's about the same time your thing's gonna come out. So
well, yeah,
good. Yeah. I'm
it's
just, yeah, I'm putting it out there. And
almost
people
done.
will see if someone's not in therapy or in therapy with someone that's not really helping them, they're gonna be able to see you and I work together and go, oh my God, look at that. Because that was one of the triggers I had, was watching the IFS guy, never remember his name, but working with someone else. And as he was doing that, he was working on me.
That's right. That's right.
So I thought, well,
Dick
that's
Schwartz or Richard Schwartz.
yeah, yeah. So I thought, I got to put it out there. That's what God wants me to do. So it feels right. And I don't give a damn what anybody says about you. So
Sweet. Well, hopefully by that time, anyways, it'll be a little easier because that whole thing will be out there. So
yeah, good. Okay. Well, thanks for the extra hour.
you're welcome. And no, that was wonderful to watch that. Well, let me pray. I'm excited
Okay.
about what
All
you're
right.
doing. Lord, thank you. Thank you that Diana and I can continue to work together. And Lord, thank you for overseeing the work that she's been doing. Lord, continue to give her insight and wisdom as she continues to work through just all the facets of this. Lord, she's blazing a trail. So continue to protect her mind. Put your strong angels round about her home and continue to help whatever else needs to come up, help it to come up, help her to be able to weather whenever these things do come up. Thank you that she's taking it out on Ted there. She's getting it out, putting responsibility back on the perps. We do pray judgment upon them and bring information to her as far as when any of them have gone down, help her to be able to know that so that she can take satisfaction in knowing that your justice lasts forever. So thank you for that promise. Lord, continue to be with Chris. Lord, thank you for even the changes that Diana just referenced. Thank you for her desire to clean house, literally and figuratively. And Lord, just continue to work on him. The different things that he obviously saw and went through. Lord, just continue to free him from that. So thank you for them as a couple, and again, individually, what Diana is doing. It's such important work. So continue to oversee that. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you.
That's right. You're cleaning house. Cleaning house.
Definitely. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. My goodness, I don't know how
Okay.
late it's gonna be.
Well, we'll talk to you Friday.
Yes, definitely. Have a good
Okay.
week.
There you go. We'll see you then.
All right, bye.